Welcome in one and all to the final Sunday for the DSL League NA Season 2. It's been a grueling 2-month season for these teams as they battled and fought through match after match. However, none of those tough losses or hype wins matter when you enter the playoffs. Victory is the only goal, the only objective. We start our championship Sunday with the upper bracket finals of Division 1, a best-of-3 contest between Buffs in 10 and Twin Omen. To guide you through it, I'm HD Philly B, and in the booth with me is Trixly. My friend, what are you looking forward to in this matchup today?
First off, before we even talk about the matches of what's coming forward, I just want to congratulations on that intro, man. That was pretty sick. I'm like, hi, so you're going like full WWE, man. We are here for a tournament, and that is exciting. So I'm coming in on the tail end of this tournament. This is my first time casting in Deadlock, but it's been going for 2 months this season in particular, and from what I have seen in the replays, there are some really talented and skillful people here that I am excited to watch for. So for me, I'm coming with a fresh mind. I am a solo queue player that loves playing this game at a competitive level. I love esports in general, and so now I get to watch how the people that are way better than me play this game, and we get to learn how to adapt and, of course, show it to you all at home. So I just want to say huge shout out to Deathy and the entire crew that's putting this on. I'm excited for that more than anything, just learning a lot today.
And this is what this community is all about, is growth and opportunity. So let's see how these teams grew throughout the tournament today. You and me bring up the bracket.
Let's check it out, man. Over to the bracket, and of course we will get an idea of all the teams that will be playing today. We do have one of our matchups. Hang on here, I wrote this down. Twin Omen versus Buffs in 10, who we're going to be watching face off. I was able to catch Buffs in 10 in their last match, and what I really appreciate about them is their mid-game prowess. Like, they do a very, very good job. About the 9 to 10 minute mark, they start to really rotate and work together, and I saw a lot of CC-based comms, and I want to see if that trend continues moving forward. But I actually don't know much about Twin Omen. Philly, do you got anything about this team?
I do. They have a lot of very talented players. We have what is called the stat dump here in the DSL League, and we put all a bunch of stats together, and they are pretty much, a lot of their team is on that stat sheet when it comes to Twin Omen, and we'll talk about that a little bit when we get into the draft. But as we're looking through this tournament bracket here, the main standout is that Buffs in 10, they beat CCU later, and they've been one of the touted teams throughout this league. They have all the stats, all the players, everything. But when it's a best of one, my friend, you know how it goes. Anything is possible. So yeah, definitely that's the standout to me. But hey, in the upper bracket finals, this is a best of 3. Later, my friend, we're going down to Division 2, which will be casting the lower bracket final. In that one, it will be Toxic Positivity and then either Lashback or Friends of Humanity.
Friends of Humanity. This is one of these things that I just like. I love about tournaments in the first year when they're coming out, because like this is grassroots, right? Like we are building literally a foundation for esports, and so when that happens, you get a lot of goofy team names, and I love Friends of Humanity. So I don't know about these teams, but I am already picking Friends of Humanity to win that one. I would love to see them go further into the finals. So we would have Lashback against Toxic Positivity, which is another fun name as well. But I can't wait to see how those matches go. I might be here for those. One of our casters might be a little on the delayed side, so if so, I will be here learning as much as I can until he gets here.
Absolutely. Well, we've had a lot to show for you. And then, of course, the grand finals, right? Which will be the Division 1, and we'll get to that later on today. But thank you and me, for bringing up the tournament. Very excited for this. Buffs in 10 versus Twin Omen. Friend, we've got a couple of things, I think, some business to attend to.
Sure.
And there's some merch that needs to be brought out here. I've got my, little shirt on here for Death Slam, and you should get your shirt too.
I should.
Got that one in that image. The back is sick. I kind of want to like put it on backwards because I like the back better than I just like the. I mean, of course, I love the logo, but I like the back better.
Yeah, I'm pulling this up and I'm looking through. We got mugs, we got t-shirts, we got hoodies out here. Things that look pretty good on your body. I don't know about the coffee mug on your body, but if you can pull it off, then do that as well. I really like this slamming one. I know that Deathy loves to play Lash a lot, so I'm assuming that is a relation to Lash and what he's able to pull off. I think I might have to grab one of those orange ones, man. That looks sick on you, Philly.
It's the olive skin complexion. What can I say? But I definitely get one of those mugs. I think Zephyr posted it was almost like a award-winning shot of the mug with the sunlight and the shadow off it and everything. I mean, that is something to be be stated, but if you need to see that picture, you got to join the Discord. So we'll have the link up here for you. You can click that or type it into your Discord and join the DSL League. If you're here to watch, play, learn, grow, be a part of a community, that is what we're here to build, and we hope to see you in the Discord. My friend, I am so hyped for this. I can't wait to get into the action. I know the draft is going to be coming up soon.
I mean, this is why I'm actually here, the discord.gg/DeathSlam. I am actually one of the people that can actually speak towards this. Like, I found this on Reddit, and I was like, hey, so, like, how competitive is this? Like, I'm enjoying this game. I've got about 400 hours underneath my belt. Like, can I just come and play? And people were, like, super supportive. I think it was Sorkin that reached out to me and was like, yes, he's the one that responded. And I wound up playing in a tournament, and I played for second place in Division 4. So, you know, not amazing, but it felt pretty awesome to be into that. And I gotta say, if I'm able to make it, you guys certainly can as well. It's a very, very fun time. Do me a favor, don't watch the finals of that. I kind of crashed out a little bit on one of my teammates, but, you know, it's a competitive game. We talked about it afterwards. All was well, and we improved from there. But, yeah, you guys should definitely come join this, man. If you're sitting on the fence, this is the time to play. Whenever you want to be a part of a scene, is in the first couple of years, everyone is friendly, everyone is trying to improve, and I'm so happy that Deathy and all these folks together are putting this together, because it was great to be a part of for a couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're only going up from here, and I'm excited to see where basically the sky is the limit, my friend, of where we can go. I believe the draft might be is ready. There it is, the voice of God in my headset there saying, all right, we've got some P's and B's to get through, my friend, and I'm looking forward to it. Through our notes, the research, everything like that, there's been some priority bans. You know, Calvin has usually been the first off the board. Wouldn't be surprised to see him taken off first here.
Calvin's just been around since the beginning of Deadlock. Like, Kelvin is certainly the metric. I think I was looking at the stats for the season, and he's around like a 54% win rate. He just has one of those kits that's very, very hard to balance. And they seem to be constantly surgically bringing him down. There was also a couple of changes in the last patch notes, but Kelvin as a ban is always going to be a high priority, especially when it comes to his ultimate. Just being able to dictate the pace of how a fight goes by some time is always going to be strong, so don't mind seeing that. However, we do see our first ban on Pocket. Now, Pocket, I have been seeing a lot of that in competitive gameplay, not so much in my solo queue. What's so great about Pocket, Billy?
Oh, he does a lot of objective damage. He's got great escapability. He's a good team fighter. He can scale well into the late game. So very well-rounded. Yes, he has some weaknesses, which is every good character should have some weaknesses, right? Like, so for example, Calvin, not really many weaknesses, but Pocket has some, but you build your team around him to help facilitate him get in and out of fights. I think another thing is this is a target ban for buffs in 10 because Max on the side of Twin Omen, he is 4-2 over the season on this character. So if he gets on him, it's going to be a little bit scary. Another thing, speaking of scary, we're seeing Victor. That's pretty spooky.
Yeah, Victor got that spooky look for sure. You know, there's actually like a fan lore being discussed when it comes to Victor and Billy. People believe that Victor's head might actually be Billy's head, and that's why Billy has a goat head right now. That's some lore that's been going around. I have no idea if there's truth to it. When I read that, my mind was blown, and I kind of want it to be accurate. I'm going to say it's accurate until someone tells me it's not. But Victor, certainly spooky, and of course with the Ethereal Shift being adjusted in the last patch, he shouldn't be as strong as he was, because he was a menace. You got Ethereal Shift down to 12 seconds with proper cooldown reduction, and he was able to keep his aura up, which was really annoying to deal with. Should be a little bit on the weaker side, but Twin Omen, not dealing with it. Don't want to worry about it. Just ban it, and we don't have to worry about his strength at all.
Yeah, but what they do have to worry about is the bartender, right? The Infernus. Like, this guy, they try to nerf him. They try to change him. Is he going to be Spirit? Is he going to be Gun? Is he going to do this? Well, he can just do it all. Clear camps, batter objectives, and, you know, it makes a good sense to have the hyper carry come out first. On the other side, Twin Omen, Calvin, I was wary of this because we have Ian, who is 0-6 on the season on this character. I mean, what? You got to keep that streak alive here if you're Twin Omen in this best of 3.
Yeah, having Shiv and Kelvin together, Shiv just naturally is able to enable folks that have any type of execution available to them if they can get into the biodome with them. So Kelvin comes in, drops by the Ice Globe, Shiv helps burn him down, and then come in with the execute afterwards, and you start going for those resets. Always a tried and true combo. So a great early draft here for Twin Omen. But I do agree with you, with Infernus, man, he just kind of does a little bit of everything kind of nicely. He's able to poke you down. You have to kind of force an engagement on him, maybe some cooldowns, and then he dashes away, and that thing lasts way too long, in my opinion. Able to scurry around corners. He's very rat-like in a way. So in terms of actual starting for the draft, I love the combo from Shiv and Kelvin, but I love Buffs and Tin saying, okay, we have our carry, now we can build around that.
Yeah, it would be interested to see how they help facilitate that. Are they going to go with a Moen Krill? He's been
Yeah.
heavily utilized recently, especially the combo. Then he can go concussion combustion, right? Really burn people down. So I'd be interested to see if they go with that. Warden received a couple buffs on Friday there to the gun. I know Defy was kind of predicting that that might be possible, and that would toggle him from like a B tier character to S tier. So Warden still available on the board here too.
I mean, when talking about Moen Krill, this is going to be probably a divisive discussion. But Trophy Collector just got a recent.
Hey there, everyone, sports fans, Galaxy lovers, and everyone else watching. Welcome to Galaxy Live's First and Fold, where we figure out which new devices will be the highlights of the field.
Buff, and I feel like Moen Krill, Kelvin, great candidates for Trophy Collector. If you get it completely built up on the stacks, you have nearly 300 gold per a minute coming your way. And when you have a Moen Krill wanting to rotate in between lanes, find a couple of picks, he really easily grabs up these assists, and I could see him being a strong pickup in today's tournament. However, we are going to be getting the Abrams. Abrams is one of those characters that if he is able to get 1 or 2 picks ahead of the curve, some call him Thanos, as he'll take over an entire lobby. And I would love to see that here for Buffs and 10. Although I do like to have another engager with an Abrams, because sometimes if he gets caught out of position, or you get one punch out and that parry connects with you, it can be kind of frustrating. So we'll see if Buffs and 10 do move into another engage.
Yeah, I'd probably Bebop based on my research of these players, what they've been playing, over this tournament, over the season. Bebop is a character that a couple of their folks are comfortable with. That's someone that can safely yoink some addition. You get the shoulder charge in, you can kind of take that combo forward. So could be on the board there, but right now it's the twin. Or no, there's still one more pick. Sorry for buffing the doors. It will be the Yamato here. That's probably going to go on to Sojo. He's kind of their carry in that department.
Yamato's just fantastic too, because even though CC is slowly being focused on by the dev team, ultimately when you're playing any MOBA whatsoever, whenever you have a lot of CC coming your way, like Seven, Kelvin, all these point and clicks, Warden, Yamato is one of those characters that like, hey, I can bake that out for free with my ultimate. Her and Calico are probably one of my favorites for like just not having to buy Unstoppable and things like that, because naturally in their kit they're able to handle it. So Yamato pickup here, especially on someone who can carry, is already setting up against Twin Omen, who we have seen pick CC comps in the past.
Absolutely, yeah. That shadow transformation right in the middle of the globe at least buys you a couple of seconds, which is good. And then the Viscus. Oh, I love the Viscus. One of my favorite characters. A great laner, good saves. So they've kind of locked down their supports here, Twin Omen, which means they haven't really revealed their hand just quite yet. We'll see how they decide to utilize these bans in this next part of the draft to kind of maybe funnel Buffs and 10 one way so that they can counter pick them. This is where the strategy comes out, and this is why it's my favorite part of the game.
I mean, I will say that you have already taken me on the roller coaster of rage and love with this draft. You mentioned Bebop earlier, who is my most disliked character to play against.
For many too.
He definitely taps into that rage for me. And then, of course, Viscus over here, who is the love of this game. I love what he brings to the matchups with, of course, the cube, the outplay potential, him being able to do the puddle punches. And then, of course, when he dies, man, my heart just melts with the screech that he lets out. All he wants to do is make the world better, man. We got to be nice to Viscus, so now I'm secretly, just a little bit, cheering for Twin Omen. A Page ban will be coming out. Page, kind of rough in the lane phase, but great in enabling people, right? And so Twin Omen seeing that Infernus over there on the opposing side, and even Yamato giving that rate of fire with that shield in the early game can be something I don't want to deal with, and they're going to go ahead and prevent that from occurring.
And I really like this because they've already picked 2 supports themselves, so let's whittle down the support pool a little bit more. You gonna go Dynamo, McGinnis? No, they're like the lowest of the low. Okay, then maybe you go Ivy, but Ivy's really been shifted into that carry role, not really the support role anymore. Though I did love support Ivy more than I love Gun Ivy. Whatever, flame me for that. But I like this band here for the side of Buffs and 10. The Holiday is a really good initiator, very strong, right? She's always been strong, so I really like that. Take somebody else off the board because that's what they're going to be looking for, Twin Omen.
Yeah, completely agree there. I need somebody to help whittle down people, right, for Shiv setup. Like, yeah, you have the Kelvin combo. into Shiv. So if you do find someone, you can get that isolation. But technically, you want to be able to be in a spot where you're kind of burning people down. And it's actually a great discussion here for Buffs and 10 with them taking out Pocket and Holiday. Both of them are great at doing that. Holiday with the shots into a possible pull-in, and of course, Pocket being able to drop down his ultimate will be annoying. But there's that Ivy you were mentioning as she gets picked up. Rotations, a lot of CC, and man, even though that gun's been nerfed, it's still dangerous to walk into.
Oh yeah, they're securing their late game for sure with this pick. So definitely going to be a gun Ivy in this composition. It's about, okay, how do they stack up against the Infernus when they kind of level out, right, in their soul disparity in that late game. So it's going to be a race to that timing between these two squads to get their carry online, and then everybody else is just like, can we win the game before it needs to get to that point, right? This is our security deposit in the back end. Paradox, they've been hit with a couple things left and right, but people are still sticking with her.
You mentioned that timing, man, and here comes the Time Lord herself, Paradox, being picked up. And yeah, Paradox is fascinating to me because in solo queue, it feels like one of these characters that like you either feast or famine, but in competitive play, it's one of these characters that consistently is helpful in finding picks. Her ability to rotate and then of course be able to pop that slow on people and turn it into an ultimate and get the swap, and then of course the walls and make sure that people can't be chased into is just so strong in a team environment. And to add on top of that pick potential, we now have Wraith, who also has great scalability to kind of help match that Ivy onto an Omen.
Yeah, I really like this. It's a very fine carry, a secure carry. Easy to play. Anybody can kind of do it. I would imagine this is going to be on Banshee. They're kind of the Wraith Infernus player. Soju plays Infernus most of the time, so that's probably what they're looking at. But I'm just curious about how the lanes are going to go here, because there's a lot of, people need souls on this side of Buff and 10. But there's only so many to go around, so that's my qualm there. On the other side, we're seeing the Gust and the Warden, my friend. What do you make of that?
Geist and Warden. Geist is, in my opinion, one of my favorite lane bullies, just being able to like switch around the map, as long as you don't fall behind, right? If you fall behind, it feels awful on Geist, but if you're able to stay even or at least a little bit ahead in farm, you're going to feel great in that regard. Warden brings in CC that I feel like this team is really, really needing. Yeah, you got a slow from Ivy, and you have the statue, but a lot of players at this level have such great movement that they're going to be able to get around Ivy, and it's such a massive cooldown. Warden brings a little bit more in here. Point and click, here's some CC, force them to use some stamina, and that makes everyone else a little bit on the stronger side. So I love rounding out this draft. Damage looks like it will be there in spades, and the control for the objectives also wonderful here too with Ivy and Kelvin. So I'm pretty happy with that. Sinclair, this is actually so exciting because Sinclair looks like an amazing character, but I have yet to see anybody pop off with it. So maybe today is the day that Sinclair comes in, able to bring in that poke, able to bring in that control, bring in those rabbits, and of course the ability to steal any ultimate on the opposing side is always a +2.
And there are a lot to steal, right? You go with the last stand for Warden, you go with the frozen shelter for Calvin, right? That's the execute there for the ship. I mean, there's plenty of different ways that you can pull the rabbit out of the hat, unintended.
Yeah.
But this also helps them in that laning phase as well. Like you mentioned, has the poke. So if they do pair it up with the Wraith or the Infernus, can kind of keep them safe. What I would imagine is it's probably going to be the Yamato and Paradox in the middle, maybe Wraith and Sinclair one lane, Abrams and Infernus in the other lane. That's what I'm predicting here on this side. What do you think of Twin Omens? How do you think those lanes are going to settle out?
Yeah, that'll be interesting to watch out for. I think you definitely want to put someone that has kill potential with Kelvin immediately anytime that you have the ability to, because when he has that little laser up and is able to move forward on the lane, you're going to be in a winning trade, as long as you make sure you back up in time. So I actually like the idea of Kelvin and Shiv being together. Geist and Ivy, I think, is actually pretty powerful as well. Ivy and Geist can continue to rotate together, provide the heals for each other. And then Warden and Viscous can just kind of stay on their own and be ready for the rotations later on. So I would love to see how that fades out. But again, I'm here to learn and see what these players are going to do. You know, my thoughts are fleeting and they're just solo queue players. And I'm okay willing to admit that. I'm the guy that queues up into a match and just hopes it works out. So now we get to learn and adapt.
And there's only way to find that out, and it's to head to the Cursed Apple. It's time to drop in to the supernatural world of Deadlock. All right, friend, this is it, the moment we've been waiting for, the start of the upper bracket finals in Division 1. Let's see if our predictions are coming to fruition. Looks like you're right. We've got the Shiv and the Calvin, but then it's the Geist and the Viscous there. They're going to match up against the Yamato and the Paradox.
fascinating. So Geist and Viscus should be able to just kind of control the waves and make sure they're not being pushed too hard, but I don't know if we're going to be able to do too much kill potential with Paradox being there, especially when she gets a few of her items built up. But for now, keeping an eye on Kelvin and crew, and they are being pretty aggressive on this lane. This is one thing, actually, that I think happens competitive gameplay that I think a lot of people maybe don't talk about as much, but they're always trying to focus down the healer minion in lane, get rid of that ASAP, just to make sure it's a little bit harder for your opponents to sustain through whenever you go for a poke trade.
Absolutely, yeah. The trading is so detrimental if you take a bad one in Deadlock, because there's no like health potion that you can buy or whatever, right? You just have to rely on that minion or get extra regen if you feel like you're behind in lane. So targeting that trooper first is paramount. And the thing is, it's their RNG. You don't know if it's going to pop in the left side, the right side. It's just going to, wherever it pops, you have to be ready for it.
Yeah, gotta keep those discussions up. So far, though, great job by Wraith here, continuing to keep up with the clear, but also working in those cards while she can to work on Ivy. Moving over to Yamato here on the lane. Let's go ahead and get an idea of what's going on. This is a middle lane, Yamato and Paradox together, and both teams look relatively healthy right now. Now, if I was to just interject with one discussion point, I am sure it's... Oh my gosh, actually, this is pretty low there. Taking some decent damage. I would love to see the UI adapt to where people go in the lanes, because holy moly, this is confusing.
You'll get used to it, my friend. Welcome to the world of Deadlock, and I know you're ready to rock here. So is this Yamato, as they have the restorative shot already online. They're punishing this lane pretty heavy. As you mentioned, the Geist really low, already been poked out. That's usually what you want in your mid lane, is these guys that like to trade poke pretty heavily with their abilities. And speaking of poke, the Infernus, he's getting it done there, burning and melting away the Iceman.
Yeah, it's one thing whenever you are playing against a Geist that I would recommend to anybody playing the game is Geist wants to be ahead of you in HP, especially in the early game. And her weakest point is usually a level 1 and a level 2 before she gets a few of her abilities unlocked. So you want to be aggressive against her, and that's what was able to be pulled off here by Buffs and 10. So nice job by them. Twin Omen right now trying to hold on with that Geist and trying to sustain on back on through. I actually would be curious to see what items going to pick up. Because if you're ever in a situation where you are behind, you can get, of course, your last rights to heal, or you can get your restorative shot, which I find to be very, very strong on Geist. A little bit of suck coming down here on top of Yamato, but able to dash out just in time.
Yeah, but that life drain, even that much this early on, can help them sustain. Folks, we have Cypher there on the Warden. They are one of the kill leaders in the scene. They have 4 first bloods throughout the season. So I'm going to be looking at him. You have 4 first bloods over, 7 games that you play or whatever it is. That's somebody that you're going to be looking at. And here's that poke you were talking about, friend, the Magician, just laying down the cover fire.
Yeah, Sinclair can be very, very frustrating to deal with if you're not really keeping pressure up on him here. But I like this here from Warden. You see how Warden realizes they have the minion waves pushing forward? Moment that happens, Sinclair needs to turn around and try and get those last hits, but his cooldowns in the early game are actually relatively high, so Warden just stepped up and started getting some headshots on top of him to make him back away. And now you have someone that's around 200 HP and a potential kill available to you as you do that type of play. So small things like that really start to stack up in the laning phase. Now, with that being said, what do you want to do with these advantages? Well, we have a buff in 1 minute and 5 seconds about to spawn for both of our teams on the middle of the map here, and that's where we're going to be playing around. And already Sinclair set up for that by grabbing the last right, healing up, and trying to make sure that he's going to be somewhat healthy if they want to contest that.
Yeah, but he was also getting some gun items there. You got a headshot booster, monster rounds. Like, this guy, he's looking to fight in the lanes, but using that magic wand, and I love to see it. This is something that is a part of these divisions. It's like, these aren't the pros, right? These are folks getting together. They want to play in a competitive setting, get some coaches, learn the game. So you might see a little bit of wacky things or unorthodox stuff, but if it works for them, it will. That's something you want to see. So very interesting as we kind of make our way. And this is potentially a support Ivy, helping this Warden out in the lane.
Currently at 3.2k in farm. Gonna be able to get their ultimates up here in 200, see if they want to be aggressive here. Here comes out the Rabbit on top of the Warden, but he continues to hold this front line, and now he has unlocked his ultimate ability. Now 10 seconds away for the buffs, and I'm staring straight, oh my gosh, just straight up going for it. Diving into the tower, goes for a parry on top of the tower to slow it down. Raise on the side here, gets hit with the hook, but is gonna be able to escape. But a pretty solid trade for Warden. Get them low on HP, and that's one thing that you can learn in your matchups. It's like, make sure if you have an advantage on your ultimate, burn that stuff right away. Get their health bars low because it gives you a little bit more map control and can allow for you to play the rest of the map.
For sure. You know, I always talk about that your HP bar is also a resource you have to manage.
Yes,
It's
sir.
not just your cooldowns and your whatever. Your HP bar is probably the biggest thing. So yeah, a good dive in, I think. And the Sinclair was low, right? So he was trying to go after it, then saw the Ivy, was like, maybe I should, or saw the Wraith, should go over there. Fortunately, couldn't find anything, but 2 ultimates expended in that one, and now everybody, they are lit up. They have their ultimates available. This is where it gets fun.
Healing has begun, and the buffs were grabbed during that entire phase. Now, the next major thing is going to be our Sinners that spawn in about 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Sinners is one of the ways that you can control the jungle. And set yourself up to get permanent buffs for the later stages. Now, one of the things that you can do is try to get some damage on top of those Guardians, force your opponent to be in a spot where they have to defend it, and then try to extend for that later on. So I'm looking for our teams now to see if they're going to start building up for that kind of stuff. This is already on the left here, keeping an eye on the jungle nearby, as well as grabbing those boxes. Ooh, but Yamato coming in. Grappling hook goes in, a little bit of decent damage, and pushes Viscous back.
Yeah, just some poke here. Bren, it's about 6 minutes 30 in. No first blood here yet. This is kind of a testament to maybe a little bit of careful play from these squads. They know what is at stake in this match. It is a best of 3, of course, but you don't want to give anything away for free. You think there's some hesitation going on here from these squads?
Yeah, especially in a tournament. Like, one of the best things that a lot of people can do in MOBAs is whenever you're going into a matchup where you respect your opponent, playing safe can usually be a better thing to do. Get an idea for them and game number 1. If I remember correctly, this is best of 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so best of 1 or best of 3, usually get an idea of how your opponent's playing in the first game, and then win or lose, make a major adjustment going into game number 2. So I like the hesitance here. I like just trying to play safe, not trying to go for an aggressive play. But speaking of aggressive play, Sinclair getting low on HP. Ivy taking damage, getting with the Rabbit. Here comes the Wraith, and finally, the first blood has occurred, Mr. Philly.
Woo! And that could be because the Ivy went testable bullets as basically their first item, just saved up for that. So no durability, nothing really to help them but their gun. So that will send the Gargoyle back to the gray screen and allow the lane to push in number 1. So, okay, fair, or lane number 3 rather, fair enough. But it's early game kills, not too bad. Yamato might be the one next on the chopping block. Already expended the Shadow Transformation. Looks like she'll be able to slither away from this one.
Yeah, no heal for 30 seconds as well. Gonna have to go and move around and grab some of these boxes, try to find some health there while they wait for, say, natural sustain to come on through. Buffs and 10, however, are slightly ahead on Guardian damage. I say that, though, as over on the far right. And there's that pick that they were looking for. A beautiful goo ball coming in from Mr. Viscous.
Ooh, a nice shot from downtown, and now the powder keg has finally decided to explode here in the Cursed Apple. I love it. But these trades, they're coming, to and fro, but it hasn't been resulting in a lot of things. The Guardian's still relatively healthy. As I say that, it goes down there in lane number 3.
Yeah, the Warden and Ivy have been really aggressive on top of that Guardian. Finally, we'll be picking it off. But I don't think Bus and 10 minds too much. If you've noticed on the mini-map in the bottom left, they've been trying to play around their centers. In fact, we just had Abrams and Shiv fight for the center on the far left portion of the map. And I do believe Abrams was able to get it. And that seems to be the main focus for Bus and 10s. Let's control the left side of the map, let our right side scale up a little bit. If they're losing the lane, that's just fine. Let it push in, and if it does push in, we can probably start sending out one of our folks to rotate. And I'm wondering what candidate they believe to be the better rotator. Would it be the Wraith? Oh, hang on, though. Paradox comes in for a combo, going straight in for Viscous. Is able to get out with the cube. And just like that, he's able to escape swiftly.
And that's why you pick the Viscous, right? You can kind of deny that, just denied an ultimate with your own ability.
Yeah.
And there's nothing doing. Speaking of ultimates, the Seismic Slam or Impact comes in now, chasing the Adventurer. He's going to no man's land. A detective, he's bobbing to and fro, wants to get into the fray, but there's a ton of damage. There's the Version Shelter to lock everybody in place. This is not where the Abrams wants to be. The Slice and Dice does come through, but still the detective sustains. He's able to back out of it. Doesn't. Oh my goodness, what a trade.
That was ridiculous. And Shiv was not able to get the execute there with the ultimate. Just barely missing out on it. Had he gotten it, he would have gotten 2 for 1. Guardian, however, continues to go low on HP, and Fern is keeping up with the poke. And finally, the Guardian on lane number 1 will be rotated. So our map is kind of rotated out a little bit here. On the far right, we have 1 yellow Guardian down, but on the far left, we have 1 blue Guardian down. That's kind of one of the things that you kind of have to really try to get down when you're playing in these competitive team matches, is trying to offset the map and make sure you stay close. And the result is what you see at the very top. very close in souls, 44k to 46, while another Guardian finally goes down at 10 minutes in the mid lane.
Uh-oh, this guy's in trouble and is hacked into pieces. The assassin finds its mark. Well done. The urn is now available, and it looks like, you know, what team is going to go for it? There's a heavy push there from the Sapphire Flame in lane number 1. They have the priority, but do they have the members to go for it in the space to do so? That's the question. Now these Guardians, they are just being melted. The first flex slot is open.
Yeah, Twin Omen feeling really good about that, as they do have one more Guardian to the far right. They can have Ivy stay over there. The good thing about Ivy, too, is she's able to ult and fly over to a fight, or even escape here if there's ever a rotation happening.
Hey there, everyone, sports fans, Galaxy lovers, and everyone else watching. Welcome to Galaxy Live's First and Fold, where we figure out which new devices will be the highlights of the field.
We were torn apart at birth.
That's dramatic.
This is the story of the best part of the sandwich and his crust.
How's it feel to be so irresistible?
Irresistible? Is that what people are saying?
That's it. Ugh, irresistible.
Uncrustables are the best part of the sandwich.
I love gaming, but sometimes I do need to leave the house. Thankfully, the Lenovo Legion Go S is perfectly built for gaming on the go. Thanks to the AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme processor, I'm able to play AAA games easily wherever I want. Check out more about Lenovo's Legion Go S in the link below.
Morning, Pete. Coffee's on and your Uber's on its way.
You know, I've been thinking, maybe I should just go by Peter now?
Peter Davidson. Not bad.
Sounds like I'm gonna try and sell you an extended warranty.
How about Petey?
I know a dog named Petey.
Little P or Big D?
Oh, what about Double P?
You want to go by PP?
You know what? I think I'm just gonna stick with Pete.
Pete. I like it.
I like you too.
That rotation might be happening right now, as you see Paradox moving her way over, keeping control of the mini-map, working with Yamato, but they turn around and actually go straight in for the Warden. Ivy able to escape for now, but Warden being chased out in the middle of the fight. Is he low on HP? He's about half HP right now. And Ivy is continuing to control that far right lane while that fight continues.
Yeah, that's a very interesting fight there by the Walker. I'd be curious to see if they can keep the Warden alive. They're doing their dangest. The lady... Oh, decapitated. What will it be, though? That's the question. What magic will he put forth onto the Cursed Apple? Doesn't look like we'll catch the glimpse of that. Everything maybe settling down here for just a second, friend. Everybody content to go into their jungles and clear some camps.
Yeah, that was a long 2 to 3 minute fight there that was happening in the middle of the jungle. We're going to have Abrams and crew fighting here on the far left as well. A bit of an evade occurring here from Shiv and Kelvin, trying to work in tandem. Kelvin's ultimate is not available, but Shiv's is, and here comes Abrams trying to chase down the Shiv. Shiv puts down a knife, gets a little bit of poke. Kelvin's ultimate still not there, able to skate away at the last second, and now Warden charging forward, trying to force a fight.
Uh-oh, and here it is, the Shadow Transformation called into action, but it may be a little too late. And there it is, my dagger bigger than your katana. The Shiv picks up the kill.
I can imagine Shiv saying that. That should be a line that he has. My dagger bigger than your katana. Who's cultured now? Speaking of culture, Ivy continues to hold down the right side of the map, and Viscus is actually moving forward with an Urn turn-in, which is going to give a decent amount of souls over here to Twin Omen off of that pick. There it is. They go up by a total of 5k, and this is where you start to see the small differences in teams. 5k on one person can be half of a medium item, right? So it starts to become just a little bit more firepower, and if they can utilize that to snowball forward, they can finally grab that Guardian on the far right and open this map way more.
Absolutely. And they're really creating a space for this Ivy to farm up. I mean, and this is something that you want to do. Wow, a good deny there from the Calvin on the frozen shelter, just ultimate for ultimate, but now he's stuck in a little bit of an awkward spot. He goes to the radio station to maybe call for help. A good parry there, but the revolver from the detective finds the mark and he gets the kill.
Yeah, I didn't mind him going for that parry. At some point in the middle of an exchange from Abrams, you go for the miracle. And sadly, the miracle did not occur there, and Abrams is going to be rewarded handily as he grabs that center and continues to get some farm on his side. Ivy, though, has just been doing such a great job on this far left lane for them, right lane for us, as they continue to work on that Walker. They're in a one-on-one against this Wraith the entire time, and the best part is they back away and grab the centers as well here. Twin Omen keeping up with that farm, but Buffs and 10 with some theft of the jungle on the far left portion of the map has been able to tie it up 66k to 68.
Ooh, and it's a testament to that Ivy really putting pressure in that lane. They have to keep somebody over there, otherwise they'll lose structure after structure. This will be a carry Ivy, seeing the Tesla bullets, a Titanic magazine, etc. So they really want to go for that push, and now we have an engagement in earnest because they're trying to stifle the Gargoyle. Let's see if they can get it done. Tons of members looking to take this final Guardian down.
Yeah, this is a good job actually by Viscous. He got an eye of this rotation heading over here, so he was able to call it out. They saw Abrams rotating with Wraith, and they were actually going to make a play for that Guardian. But because Viscous was able to see it, Kelvin came over as well, and they just stopped that in its track. That one Guardian is going to be the thorn in the side here for Buffs 10 eventually. Because remember, in order to get your first flex spot, you do have to take out all the Guardians on the opposing side of the map, and with that one still being defended, there could be a situation where there is going to be a power stoppage that occurs for them as they are not able to get that Guardian. So hopefully they see it soon.
I like this Warpstone pickup from the side of Abrams, and folks are probably saying like, well, he always should get it. Well, when Deathy was coaching Action Slacks was never getting the Warpstone. He's like, bro, you got to get this every single time. This item is too freaking good. Right now, though, the Frozen Shelter just used as an escape tool here to keep everybody away.
Yeah, Warpstone is one of those items that, like, you know, like it's strong, absolutely, but you don't realize like how powerful it is until you are on a melee engager like Moen, Grill, Abrams, things like that, and then you get to fully unleash yourself earlier. You know, such a great pickup. So gotta agree with you on that. If you are an Abrams player at home, do yourself a favor and grab that item for sure. Follow Philly's advice as well as Deathy's.
Yeah, absolutely. And reach out, Deathy. Get some coaching. Get some coaching from all of our coaches here in the Death Slam organization. Right now, the Wraith might need some coaching as they are on the run. The Ivy is going to be taking on everybody. Does have the fly drop available. Let's see if they can utilize it to escape. For now, the Wraiths doesn't want to take that engagement. Will leave the Ivy to the rest of her compatriots, and they get the job done.
Yeah, great job by Soju there. First off, baiting the Ivy into a fight, able to dash out from the Gargoyle when it came for the Stone Form and try to lock them down, and then use their ultimate to lock them down, and then walk away and farm the rest of the map. Just great awareness by Soju overall. Abrams coming in, though, for a Dunkarone. He comes forward, puts out a punch, trying to bait out the parry. Parry does not get bitten, though. Guy's trying to escape here, finally goes for the parry, and that's going to be the pickoff with the help of Paradox. And we are starting to find a decent amount of kills between both of our teams.
Friend, could we ask for anything more? I mean, this is the upper bracket finals in Division 1. These teams, they can't get any closer than this. It's been a thrilling match, a real tug of war. No one's really, like, edged each other out, been a big stomp or anything. It's been a wonderful game to watch.
Yeah, and I've been keeping an eye on Buffs 10 in general. They've been trying to make sure if they are going for rotations or looking for these takedowns, they're sending 2 to 3 people at a time to work together. And that's been allowing for them to find these picks. Now, when I say that, Twin Omen does the same, finds a pick over here on the far right lane, keeping an eye on that Walker. And if we actually look at the state of Walkers right now, Buffs 10's far left lane right now is very low on HP. That is a Walker that is going to be a candidate being picked up in the future, and Viscous was going for it. So they send Paradox over to stop that in its tracks, and Paradox is able to get an engage on Viscous. He goes for the Goo Ball, trying to stay alive. Paradox goes up on top of the bridge there to stay alive, and the Goo Ball is able to sneak away with some solid driving.
That's well done, but that's a good resource expended, right? The ultimate and the HP pool is down, so he can't be in this next fight with the urn. You can see, folks, that it is being transferred oh so carefully to the drop zone. Let's see if they can score the touchdown here. Sinclair wary what is going on, but Cypher has claimed a Walker. Now he's going in with the final stand. He leaps forward, reckless abandon, abound. He does find one, make it 2. A huge turnaround for the Twin Omens.
Yeah, I gotta love Twin Omen's play there. They saw that the urn was being taken, as you mentioned, and decided, okay, well, there's already a low Walker here. We have 4 people here. We know for sure the worst case scenario with the urn rotating around the map, it'll be a 4v5. Let's pop our Warden and move in and grab said Walker and takedowns, and they got them both. And here's the thing, there's an urn still floating around here. Abrams is trying to sneak it out, and they're trying to sniff him at the same time while Yamato flanks.
Oh my word. Uh-oh, she's got to be careful here. Gets hit with the cold front, the shadow transformation just to delay the inevitable, the Arctic beam to freeze the assassin up and maybe lock her down. One more hit will do it. Bye-bye, Sojo. Bye-bye to Sinclair as well. He gets picked off somewhere on the map. I love, my friend, what is going on here in this game, because Twin Omens is kind of going for this like 2-lane split push, because the Ward is actually very good at taking down towers. The Ivy very good as well. So then you're like, you got to choose the lesser two evils. And right now they're like, I guess we're choosing to defend the Ivy lane. Well, on the backside, they lost their walker in lane number 1.
And I like that we have Kelvin and Warden typically roaming together. Yeah. You have the slow that comes in from the Arctic Beam from Kelvin, and then you have Warden coming in with the actual CC. And if you do not rotate properly or have your assistance from your teammates, you are going to get picked off. That's where Twin Omen's found a lot of it. Now, with that being said, there has been a couple of picks that has allowed for this mid-boss to be picked up here in the middle lane. Ivy's coming in with the stone plate just to make sure if anyone were to attempt to stop that, they were going to CC them, and that does not occur. And there is going to be 3 ages available for Twin Omens, and they are going to do a lot of work with this.
They do trade their walker in lane number 1, but that's a trade you're willing to take as long as you can take down the bartender, and they are able to do it. The cube at the final moments to make sure the afterburn does not explode. So, fine. You take the trade, you get the mid-boss, you get all the souls and the benefits that come with it. You lose your walker there and kind of even out the score in 1. I think you'll be okay with just that.
Yeah, we are around 20 minutes right now, so there is going to be a 30-second timer for Banshee to come back. The Infernus. Currently, Twin Omen is focused on setting up their lanes first. Notice how they work on their far left lane and their far right lane first. They get that pushing forward past the 50% part of the map, grab both the buffs that spawn at 20 minutes, and now they can pick a location to go for. And this is where the discussion is for a lot of teams. Do you go to the middle lane, which is probably the easiest to defend, in quotation marks, and try to take out the walker? Or do you force the opponents to come to your side lanes, defend that, and then do a quick rotation in the middle lane? And that's why I'm really curious to see what's going to happen here for Twin Omen as they use this Aegis. It's up for another, what, 2 minutes and 50 seconds?
And that means you gotta push, right? I mean, you gotta be a little bit, ballsy, for lack of better terms, when you have the Rejuve online. Like, push the envelope a little bit. Find a tiny advantage on the map. Don't go overboard with it, mind you, but, find something. I think they're going to utilize this to make the score the touchdown.
And they're showing what they're doing here. They're using Ivy as bait here on the far left. If Ivy's uncontested, she can, of course, just go ahead and fly away from this entire fight. She puts down her slow, but Infernus is going for a full chase here. Gargoyle goes up, tries to get up in the left corner, and is going to be picked off. Will be able to come back thanks to that Aegis, and she is actually going to start continuing the push. Was turning in the back line, though, for Twin Omen, and they jump up in souls. Now, they do have to spend it to keep up that power, but the plan was fully executed there.
Lockdown there onto El Gato. The claws taken off of this Viscus. Another Rejuve Crystal expended. So you would think, folks, yeah, maybe they're using them a little bit recklessly, but no, they're taking these micro steps forward. They get the urn, they get another walker down, they get some damage on the mid. I think those are all carefully designed plays to make their steps forward to the Patron.
I mean, we talked about it earlier. Health is a resource, and sometimes so is death. And that becomes double true when you have the Aegis available. If you know that you can move forward, potentially get picked off, do a decent trade to where they can't finish you off, and you respawn, you are continuing to keep up your pressure. Massive fight here happening in the middle lane, though, as finally Twin Omens move forward to try and start putting pressure on this walker. And remember, Wraith used her ultimate earlier, so they're going to use this time to try and find a kill on Bus and 10. However, Bus and 10 are very resilient. They turn around, get Viscus, turn him down, and he is now gone for 40 seconds.
Yeah, that's a big pickoff because he can't use the Rejuve Crystal again. Finally, they take down the gangster, but he'll come back just A-okay. Max to the maximum. He'll be slicing and dicing his way through for sure. They've lost a few members here on this Siege of the Walker. Sheep has been skinned. They are back to the gray screen. Maybe this push is over for the side of Twin Omens. They can't lose anything more, but they will lose the Calvin. That push, it's done.
And that goes to show how difficult it is to push in the middle of the map there. You have a couple of stories of escapes they've been able to, like on the bottom side, you have all these doors to go through, and these nooks and crannies, and then you have your top side, and then you have the flanks around the top right. And in particular, Air on Abrams used those angles so well. That's one of the main reasons why we saw Buffs and 10 win there. But hang on, Twin Omen continuing to get picked off, and Buffs and 10, who were on the back foot, they were down about 10 to 12k in souls, have suddenly tied it up, and they're turning it around. In fact, they're going to get the middle walker first.
Oh my goodness, the push from the side of Abrams and the rest of his squad, they are moving forward. There's only a few folks to defend this Patron. If they can get some of these base Guardians down, you would say this is incredibly successful. There goes the Ivy, the bulk of the damage, not on the board. The Viscus, not long world. The buffs in 10, they're powered now.
Yeah, Bus and 10 kind of showcasing that together as a team of 6, they're able to get a little bit more work done. Abrams will be traded out, but that still was the cost of Twin Omens losing 3, which are still down for about 30 seconds. Warren will be up at about 10 seconds, and they were able to break down a few of those Guardians that were in the front base. And meanwhile, during all of that, there was minions pushing 4 Buffs and 10 on the left and right lane. Those were able to take out 2 Guardians and move forward and do some decent pressure. Buffs and 10 gotta be feeling pretty good about that. However, they are starting to get picked off. Gotta slow it down here because there will be a mid-boss up in about 2 minutes, so they want to make sure they have everybody up and ready for that.
Absolutely. So I think this is where Twin Omens, they took a little misstep. They lost 2 rejuves. After that, you should have been like, okay, let's go back. Let's secure our jungle. Let's, you know, set up the map, set our waves, because the waves were no longer set because they still stayed in the mid lane, which, as you said, is the quote-unquote easiest to defend. Shiv, he's caught out here, and he'll be taken down for sure. There's no way this guy escapes unless the Calvin comes. The reinforcement horn is sound. Do they attempt to follow this up? No, he'll be okay. But like we were talking about, you lost 2 rejuves, go back after that. You need 3 to take that mid boss, and because of that, the momentum shifted, and Buffs and 10 were able to storm down the mid lane and claim the Walker for themselves. Most importantly, open up those flex slots.
Yeah, that mid boss is just so difficult to get to, or not mid boss, mid Walker.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you can do, it's a little bit on the risky side, but you can send somebody to go for a flank and take over that second storage area. So whenever the opposing team is trying to defend it, you can catch the ones that are trying to rotate back and get on top of the line. And there's nobody really doing that for Twin Omen. And with them losing a couple of members, with it being close, suddenly things are looking a little bit more dangerous for both of our teams. And with Ernst popping up, I'm very curious to see where we're going to go with opening up this map. If Twin Omens can find a couple of pickoffs and grab that mid-boss, as you were mentioning, up in 1 minute, we can see them push down and try to go straight for that patron and set themselves up for a late-game win condition. On the other hand, Buffs and 10, their defense and their scaling is starting to really kick in. You have Inferno starting to feel really, really good right now. You have Wraith as well, who has that pick potential and has been playing very soundly. Those 2 targets need to be a focus for Twin Omens.
I couldn't agree more, and as I'm looking at where the souls are lying here for people, right? We've got 29 and 29 for the Ivy and the Warden. We got 30 and 30 here for Buffs and 10, so still very close. But one thing could do it. One urn going the right way, one extra, base guardian, whatever it could be. This urn fight, though, my friend, is about to be an explosive one. Everybody's gathering up for it.
Yeah, Ivy's a little bit late for this, so I want to see if they're going to try and commit fully to it. Viscous can definitely delay for a long time, and we see that first punch coming out. As second punch as well, dropping down the urn, but a full swap turns around him. He is silenced, and he cannot be moved. Viscous is gone. Here comes Ivy looking for a rotation, and Philly, the fight is fully afoot.
Okay, and there's the Ivy dive bombing in, takes down the opposing carry, and you love to see it. The frozen shelter will turn every tide. The man of Expedition finding the kills here, allowing the Thunderdome to do its work. That is a great turnaround from Twin Omens. They defend.
Wow.
They lose the urn on the back of it, friend, but they get 4 kills.
Yeah, that was a 5v6 after Viscous went down, and with that huge engage coming in from Kelvin, you can see why he is first man worthy for a lot of folks. They were able to pick off 2 people really quickly with that dome, and then of course followed it up thanks to the Shiv executions. And with 4 people down, Twin Open are now setting up for their win condition. You see a couple of things happening. One, they have a few people in the middle lane working on top of this mid boss. At the same time, we see Wraith and Paradox trying to set up their lanes for defense. Whenever you are down a number disadvantage and you realize that you have taken a major L, you need to try and mitigate your resources and make sure you're set up for the defense later on. So they pushed out the left lane, they pushed out the right lane, and now it's all about waiting for everyone to respawn and go for a defense against these 2 ages that are coming. 3, excuse me.
And this is big, and I'm glad you mentioned setting the lanes. That's super important because the troopers, they want to win just as much as the players do, so they're gonna be marching their dangest as they can to get to the patron. And so you can see that lane, the Ivy has to respond to it because they need the lanes to be pushing back, which allows the timers to tick down and get the full defensive numbers back to defend the base. My friend, what an exciting way to open up this upper bracket final.
Yes, sir, and you know the armpits are sweaty right now for both of these teams. They are slip and slide, dude. There is just water going down their body as they are setting up for this final push-up. Now, one thing about Twin Omens here is I know they have a lot of time with the ages, but I would like to see a little bit more urgency for setting up for this aggressive play. Right now, you see Warden on the far right of the map while the rest of them are kind of grouping up and taking away the jungle from the opposing team. But I want to see what their plan is to utilize Ivy in the best way possible. You have that global pressure with her being able to fly across the map here. Maybe leave her to do her own thing in the middle lane instead of on the far right lane, and then push together because you got some pressure already on top of those Guardians and you have minions coming. I want to see them push up, and they're finally doing it. Yes, Twin Omens moving forward. Love this play from them.
A massively aggressive play. The goo ball looking more like an apple here. He's just rolling around into everybody. Sinclair, the first victim of this engagement, immediately to the shrines they go. That is destroyed. The final stand, the last stand rather, expended here. The seismic impact just to come down like Superman, crashes into a couple, but he's only into the jaws of the lion, and the Ivy is there to zap him into oblivion. This is where the patron is like, hey, get out of my house here, friends. But that's exactly where they want to be. They're ransacking it and trashing the place. Are the side of Twin Omens firmly in the driver's seat. They'll take down this first stage patron.
Now, they are low enough here where you have to consider possibly backing up after killing this patron. Let's see what they're going to be doing here. Because remember, those cooldowns will be reduced slightly for buff in 10. And you see Twin Omen, they're actually stepping up to go for full control of this. Viscus has to play a little bit on the backside here and be ready for cubes. Warden does get picked off, but the Aegis is going to be able to connect for him, and he'll be just fine. Ivy low, but here comes another Aegis. And now they're trying to move forward, but guess what? Sinclair is up, and so is Abrams. Can they get on this patron and end it? They're still moving forward. They're trying to find a pick. I don't know, Philly. Can they do this?
I think they can. The Ivy is solely focused on the weakened patron. Every shot is going there, and apparently the Banshee gets their wings clipped. At half health is the weakened patron. They're going to just full send it in here now, but is that the right move? The turnarounds are coming through. 3 down for the side of Twin Omens. They have to retreat now, lest they lose even more.
Yeah, they got it down low, and unfortunately, Viscus was just kind of low on HP for a long time with that Aegis finally being popped up. There's nothing available to him. Kelvin's trying to escape out of here. He has the ability to jump on top of his, what's it? Ice Path? Ice Path.
Yep,
Ice Path
Ice
moving
Path.
forward. I did it! Ice Path moving forward, and they're going to go straight up and set up the heal. But with 4 people up, 4 buffs and 10, I need to see what exactly they're going to do here to try and open up the map. Remember, they pushed their lanes earlier, their left and right lane, and now they're going to be able to reap these rewards. Viscus steps up, sees a Wraith here. Isn't sure if he can go for a takedown, but look at this. Sinclair coming in from behind. They're going to try and swarm on top of this Viscus.
Oh, and he needs to survive. I mean, he doesn't have a lot left to live. His HP just being chunked. He can barely sustain. No, the swap to put him back into the blender. And
Nice
he
parry.
gets taken down. It's a 3K streak here for Sad. Saiju takes down the Walker there on lane number 3. And now it's buffs and 10's turn to turn the tides. They take down this weakened patron. The rest of the folks will come through, so I don't know if they'll be able to finish it, especially with the amount of ultimates they have available. No, they'll be fine with the weakened patron. They'll reset from here.
Yeah, they can go back and grab the jungle, grab all the farm here, grab all of the centers as well, get those permanent buffs, and go from there. They're very, very content going to late game here with their Wraith and Inferns continuing to scale up like crazy. Abrams is starting to get a few of his items that allow him to be complete nuisance. And remember, when he puts 5 points into his ultimate, he becomes unstoppable, which is going to help out a lot here against a lot of the CC that's coming in from Twin Omen. So buffs in 10, man, they are making a resilient comeback. Now, there is a slight advantage in souls here for Twin Omen, and with all 6 finally spawn, they'll have to fix their lanes, but it is looking dire for them right now.
Yeah, my friend, I love both these teams. This has been a fantastic game to watch, and just so back and forth, the tug of war. But I like Twin Omens in the fact that they have a clearer game plan and how they engage in these fights. In terms of buffs and 10, it's very pick-oriented. It's very scrappy, guerrilla warfare. We just want to pop out and hit you. Well, if you're defending in your base, everybody knows where you're at. So how can you do that? They have to catch them out here in the jungle while they're setting their lanes. If they want to push the advantage, they have to find some of those 2v2, 3v3s ahead of time here for buffs and 10. And I think that might play to their deficit now that the map is so wide open.
Yeah, you mentioned that you're in love with both these teams, and I would challenge you that we might have to consider a throuple, because I'm starting to fall in love with them too, man. And honestly, with the big thing that I'm looking out for here as we're heading into the late game is this boss. It's spawning in about 40 seconds, and I'm looking at the map right now, and oh my gosh, it is dead even in terms of control. Both teams realize that if 1 or 2 picks occurs for one side, that boss is going to be wide open for the picking. But there is something to consider as well. There is a potential for a game-ending push here from Twin Omen with that Ivy being able to push to the back line. If they can get their minions to go forward and remove that resistance, they can go for a straight race. So buffs and 10 need to get a pick, threaten the boss, but also respect the Ivy potential to end the game.
Oh my gosh, a patron race to end the game for upper bracket final. Oh my,
it's there, bro. It can happen. And they need to be talking about it too in comms. Like, this is where I wish I was in comms with people, because you can get an idea of like what they're thinking about, of the potential plays that are coming their way, and how they're trying to stop them.
Chat, who you got right now? I need to know. And maybe I'll pull up the Twitch stream so I can read your predictions, because this is an electric match. Anybody could. And then you think, friend, do they have the momentum going into game 2? Because you play this 35, 40-minute match potentially, and then you lose it or you win it. Does that feel good? Does it feel bad? So even more so, you got to think about the potential of the whole series, to move on to the grand finals. So yeah, very excited here. The team's just kind of leveling out, deciding what to do next.
And I'm loving what I'm seeing from Buffs and 10 in particular. You see how they're setting up the mid lane and the far right lane, and then they have 4 people seeping through the hallways here, trying to find someone rotating, and they have found it. They're going for a straight chase here, going for a pick. There's going to be a warpstone, but there is going to be a death on the side of Ivy. That actually stops that backdoor potential pretty handily, and now Buffs and 10 needs to make a decision. Do we push our lanes and go for the mid boss? We have an entire minute to make a call.
That was their win condition. They needed to find a pick while we were in this lull zone with people setting the lanes, maybe trying to get that final item. If the goo man goes down, then it's definitely the door is open. But yeah, the Ivy, the main bulk of the damage, you'd think they'd go right for mid boss, but still the pressure being laid on here by Twin Omens. They're pushing it, friend.
That's right, and Furnace actually set up a bait here. He was all by himself on the lane, and they tried to push up for an engagement, and now Sinclair and Yamato's coming in from the side. Yamato jumps straight on top of Viscus. Viscus taking a little bit of damage, and Sinclair looking for it as well. They find him trying to retreat here. He's able to sneak away just barely, and the rest of Twin Omens have escaped. They said, good luck, Goo Man. We believe in you. And he's actually fast enough to get out of the fight. Incredible movement here from Gatto.
Wow, looking like a feline for sure out there. And they couldn't take that engagement, friend. The Shiv was all the way in the base protecting it, which I should be, but then it's a 4v6. I don't know. Fortunately, the urn switched locations right at the 35-minute mark, so they weren't able to at least grab the urn and try to go for it. But now, the mid boss, this is the do or die.
Yeah, they were looking at the Ivy time and they're like, okay, we need to make our call. We have our lanes pushing on the left and right side. That can threaten a core push here. Let's play around the mid boss. Here we go. And Furnace charges forward. Here comes the huge globe to stop it. And I'm worried about this fight, Philly. How's it going to go down?
It looks like it's pretty poor as 2 members from the Twin Omens team have been eliminated. The 3 juice secured easily from Buffs in 10. They are emboldened now to win this outright. There goes El Gato, the cat declawed once more. Sheep turned into a sweater. Max turned into Min. Everybody eliminated from the side of Twin Omens. We have ourselves a Newell wipe here in game number 1. Buffs and 10 take it home.
Incredible shot calling here from Buffs and 10, realizing that Ivy was going to be up for 10 seconds, decide to push out their left and right lane. They push in towards the core, and they force Twin and Omen into a situation where they have to do or die, and all they did was die. They get picked off pretty easily here as Buffs and 10 turn around, go straight for the patron, and will end this one going up 1-0 in this best of 3.
Oh my word, what a game.
That's good stuff.
Don't check my pits here, friends. They're a little bit sweaty.
You have the slip aside too? You need a little wet down?
Might have to change shirts in between games, but oh man, it was so looking good for both teams. And then I think it was that one little overstep from the side of Twin Omens that then allowed the bounce back to come through from Buffs and 10 to then take the mid walker, go to the weaken the patron, and then they just couldn't find their footing again. Tough look, but hey, this is a best of 3. We've got at least one more game to go.
Yeah, games like that are why I really enjoy MOBAs. We saw a situation where Temp was able to move forward and attempt to even set up a kill shot on the opponent, and they just quite couldn't do it. And there probably wasn't a clear enough comms to either escape or go for a pick right there. Maybe some kind of weird communication, whereas we saw from the opposing side, they found their opportunity. They opened up the map and they were in full control into the late game, and they just waited for things to happen. That is good macro. That is what the game is all about to me, and we see it in the numbers reflected here as we check out these stats. Lots of damage coming in from both Soju and Banshee, which makes sense. They were the carries. They were allowed to be in the side lanes for a majority of the game, farming up, and when they needed to turn it on, they turned it on perfectly.
It's the objective damage here for me. Soju with 18,000. That's 10 more than the Ivy, and that's kind of what she's supposed to do, right? Push lanes, push towers, push walkers, whatever. Just wasn't able to get it done. A clear objective for the side of Sapphire Flames, but just some macro missteps, as you mentioned, ultimately led to their downfall. But this is going to be one heck of a series. Wouldn't be surprised if we go all the way to 3. The other thing is the assists on the Magician. He has his assistant, and he's helping out everybody on his squad. The Narwhal, he's getting it done.
That's right. When it comes to a magical show, it's not about just the magician. It's about everybody in production nailing their timings, and that's what we got to see there. And so going into the next match, looking over at Twin Omen, one thing that I would probably be talking about if I was in this team, I would be like, okay, so we were doing pretty solid in the mid game. We were getting our picks. We were killing it in that regard. One thing that we saw from the opposing team is they did a much better job of controlling the side lanes and setting themselves up for a pick, which is what we got on the Ivy that occurred. So let's be a little bit more careful. If we only see 2 people on the map, that means 4 of them are probably rotating straight towards us to get a pick, and let's not allow that to occur, because that was probably the nail in the coffin for them. And if they can kind of mitigate that and hold on and maybe try to like threaten a split push on a different side of the map, that could really turn the tide for them going into game number 2.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good macro decision. I can't say that for either team it was a draft issue. It wasn't like this person wasn't working or this person. Drafts were fine. Sheep didn't have any kills in that game, unfortunately. Sorry to call you out there, friend. But,
I can't believe you would do this as a commentator.
I know.
Point out something that happened in a match. I didn't know Philly was so toxic. I'm out, guys. I'm done.
I'm gonna have to talk to my therapist about this, but no. But I think maybe getting Sheep is such a good player. Getting them involved in a different way could be how they change up their strategy if they feel like they need to, right? Sheep might be like, guys, I feel like I didn't do anything in that match. When you have one player saying that, then it's not good, right? You want all 6 members to feel like they're making their impact. So maybe in their team huddles, they are going to be figuring that out. And while we figure ourselves out, we're going to head to a short break. We'll see you on the other side. Number one. Ooh. And we are live. It's HD Philly B, and it is Trick here for the Death Slam League NA Season 2 Upper Bracket Finals. We've had an absolute banger in game number 1 between Buffs and 10 and Twin Omen that went the distance, basically. I am excited to get into game number 2, my friend.
Yeah, I really appreciated seeing the macro from both sides. Like, to me, like, yeah, there's a lot of amazing individual gameplay in Deadlock. Like, you can do some crazy stuff in this game, which makes it so fun to play by yourself. But what makes games so fun to me to cast competitive-wise is when everything comes together and they use those individual skills as one giant fist and like pull out the macro, right? And we had that in spades in our first game of the day, which is, I'm gonna say thank you, teams, for my first official cast on Deadlock. I got to watch some cool stuff happen. So I'm excited to be here with Philly. Thanks for having me, and I'm having a blast, man. Let's get ready for game number 2.
Woo! We were talking in the green room, friend, right before this. There's some patch notes that came out on Friday. In a couple leagues like College Deadlock and Death Slam in general, there were a couple of games going, and everyone had to pause because I was like, we got to update. It just seems like, that happens when you're doing these grassroots types of things. But I think the biggest change we were kind of discussing is some timings for the items, right? Some numbers adjustments. But the big thing is when those jump pads, right? You're launching yourself to get to a bridge buff or something. Those have been reworked a little bit. I'm hoping my bingo card is that we see that actually caught on camera. I want to see how that new mechanic works.
Yeah, I'm really interested too as well, because like I've seen it used on the different like clips here and there, and like sometimes it looks like if you shoot right before they go through, they get stunned the entire duration and go all the way through. If you do it like right when they get off you can stun them as well. If they're in the middle of the air and you shoot them, it looks like they're fine as well. But finding that perfect timing and understanding how it works is going to be really pivotal for a lot of players, right? Like, I would argue that seeing that makes things like snipers a little bit stronger. If you can have a sniper keeping an eye on a lift and get a shot on them right before they go forward, and you have the stun, you can have somebody chase like an Abrams, that could possibly change the meta just a little bit. And it's cool that Deadlock is playing with that kind of stuff, because, like, yeah, we have a lot of mobility. People can be all over the place, but there should be some counterplay here and there mixed in, and that's a cool way to make the map element be something that, like, oh, I can't take this vent, I'm being chased, I need to use my stamina to move this way or whatever. And like, those small decisions are what make players good at games, so I like that change a lot.
Yeah, 100%. And Deadlock is the mobility king when it comes to
sir.
MOBA. So it's
Yeah.
like you can Spider-Man, you can jump off walls, you do crazy stuff out there in
We're
the
getting
cursed
Spider-Man?
apple. You know what? We might see
That's my
Spider-Man.
favorite
We might
superhero
see
character.
Spider-
Don't you dare like say
That is
things
my-
like that, because I'll hold you to it, and then I'll talk to Yoshi. I'm sure he'll respond to me. He certainly knows who I am.
100%. I would like to see Trapper if you got, R.I.P.
Sure.
Trapper. He's still stuck in the Hero Labs, but I would be hard pressed that they're not going to make somebody that can kind of latch onto walls and that kind of thing. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure they got some things cooking up.
Now I'm hoping for it, man. I want to see that. That'd be really cool. I'm into that.
OP. But what we are looking forward to, my friend, I think is the draft, and these teams are ready. So let's bring it up and see how we get into game number 2. I would imagine if there are going to be some changes into the draft. Is it going to be that first man pocket again? Do we see the Calvin taken off the board? As a note there, Ian, that's his first loss on Calvin all season here in the upper bracket finals. So an interesting stat to denote there. But any adjustments that you think might happen as we get into the draft?
Yeah, I would be curious to see if Kelvin does be a focus for that first pick. We did see the team not have Kelvin get the win there, so that usually is a good sign for you know what, we're pretty okay with our bans. And they took out Pocket and then Holiday, correct? That was their original bans from buffs in 10. And it seems to make sense, right? They don't want to deal with any wear and tear that could occur, and Pocket and Holiday are great candidates for that. And then they took Infernus, who was the other wear and tear character that I would argue is really, really good at slowing down the fight, burning you, and if you try to go for a hard engage, you get away from it relatively quickly. So that seems to be their main strategy in the draft, at least in game number 1. I am curious to see if they're going to stick with that as we head into it. In terms of losses, is it a first pick here or a map side pick whenever you lose that you would get?
I think they get to choose
First or second
they
pick?
want to
Okay.
do.
So,
Yeah,
that would come down to whether buffs in 10 would have to deal with Twin Omen potentially going for the ban, right? Are they afraid of giving away a Kelvin, or would they want to change things up? So let's go ahead and hop into it and see how it goes in game number 2.
Okay. Twin Omen, they are the one. They have one of their lives ticked away there at the bottom. They will be the first pick here in this one. I'd be curious to see if we see any of the new characters come out. We didn't see, the Victor was banned, we know that, but we didn't see Billy, and they've played Billy a lot during the regular season. We don't see Amina either as well. Paige, we saw a lot in the night shift tournament that's been going on this weekend. A lot of teams have been utilizing her. So, get the new guys out there. They've only been in the Apple for 2 months. We still got to welcome them in. I would like to see some switch ups in that regard.
I'm surprised. I'm a Calico enthusiast. You're going to have me bring up Calico all the time. And I was looking at the stats in this tournament that you guys so kindly were able to pass through with the stat sheets and whatnot. And I saw that Calico had an insanely poor win rate in this tournament. And I know she's got some recent nerfs. They weren't too crazy, and they're more of you kind of have to hit your bombs and whatnot. But I think Calico would be a great candidate between either of these teams. Usually having a Calico be able to rotate between the jungle and find mismatches and number disadvantages can really change the pacing of a match to the point where it can be quite devastating. Now, with that being said, I don't know if they have any Calico players, but speaking of new characters, that's the one that I would love to see in the draft. I'm all about her.
I mean, okay, so let's play a little game, friend. We're keeping it light, we're keeping it casual. We're going to play What If. Would you rather have a Shiv or would you rather have a Calico?
Oof, that's rough because it really comes down to
to the team comp.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, I would want a Calico because I want to disrupt their jungling, right? Jungling is where you get the extra farm. You're able to take out the boxes. You're able to go for, of course, the minions that are in the jungle. You can grab the centers and whatnot. And a Calico that can jump up on somebody that's by themselves and get a quick pick can change the tides quickly. And then now suddenly you have someone has to peel off from the lane to come help out, and then that gives your team pressure to move forward. So Calico I like for setting the pace early in the game. But I would prefer to have a Shiv if I'm trying to work in tandem with someone, right? A Calico wants to come in, guerrilla tactics. Hits you, use all your buttons. If you're winning the fight, maybe chase with your ultimate. If not, you escape and come back again with the cat form, right? So that's kind of how I would approach the draft and figure it out. I definitely prefer having a Shiv in the first form of a draft and a Calico in the later stages of a draft based on what I see from the opponent.
Okay, and there you have it, folks. Our first rendition of Would You Rather here from Philly and Trix.
You need to make this a whole thing like it pops up. Would you rather?
Cashy, get on that. Get us some graphics, buddy. But we are seeing kind of similar things. Twin Omens, they're banning out the Calvin, knowing that they probably won't be able to pick it up themselves, right? So they're like, all right, might as well just have to ban it. And then Pocket being eliminated once again. Nobody wants to see this character in the game. Now it's about Twin Omens. Who do they open with? Last time, Buff and 10, they had the Infernus. Twin Omens, what do they go for? That will be the question.
Yeah, the Kelvin ban's interesting because we saw them run Kelvin and they felt pretty good about it. So I was wondering if they would go for an Infernus. Oh, there it is. They actually go for the Infernus. So they feel like, okay, Infernus was causing a lot of issues for us. And to be fair, there are 2 times, at least that I saw, where Infernus was a problem for them. And most of it was baiting. Infernus would come out, set up the lane, do a little bit of poke, and then 3 of them would try to move in for it, and then he would just carpet run away from it, whatever the ability is called. I'm going to learn it. I promise you guys all at home. I'm going to say a lot of incorrect things in terms of names, but I know the abilities. So he would hit that and dash away from the fight, and then they would be caught out of position because the other team would be rotating in from afterwards, right? And Furnace brings that capability to him. He brings damage, and he brings the ability to retreat away from a fight and then engage again afterwards with that movement speed. So Twin Omen sees that and goes, all right, maybe we take that away from them, and they won't be able to disengage as well as they did last time.
Yeah, and we talked about this in draft number 1. He's just kind of good at everything, right? He's just not a bad pick, right? So it's like
good to have generalists in MOBAs. You need things that, like, set a foundation for your team. You need those in a draft, and Infernus is fantastic at that right now.
Absolutely. I was just opening Reddit, in between the break or whatever, and one of the Reddit posts I saw was like, why Infernus? Why Infernus? Why was like the name of the title? He's like, why am I seeing this guy in every game? Well, he is just that good. Speaking of somebody who is good and somebody who got a little bit of an adjustment in that patch on Friday, it's Victor. He was banned in game number 1, showing up here in game number 2.
Yeah, this will be my first time seeing Victor in competitive gameplay, but from solo queue, man, that ethereal shift was just annoying, right? I got to the point where I was like, do I build a heal bane or do I just try to kill the rest of their team? And when you're making that decision, that means that they have weight in the draft, right? So seeing him as a first pick here is a bit of a surprise to me, but I could see how we would get to that path, right? And then Victor also has a discussion of like, once I have 30k farm, like I'm unstoppable kind of stuff. Like that discussion has been circling around. I wonder if that's true in competitive as well. So seeing him and then Shiv brought out means, okay, we have potential burn, we have sticking power, and we have the ability to execute with our first 2 picks. This is a great start for Bus and 10.
Yeah, I'm liking it a lot here. The Victor, you're right, has a certain timing. And so Twin Omens, they have to be aware of that. So it's like, okay, how do we either make sure they don't ever get to that timing, or by the time they get to that timing, they're too far behind that it doesn't even matter, or we beat them before that timing even occurs. So they're kind of postulating those things, kind of moving them around in their minds as they're going for the draft. But Twin Omens, there you go. Scrabble. I'm a terrible speller. Don't ask chat. Don't ask me to spell anything. I can't even spell.
I can say the word, but I can't spell it, dude. It's got 5 syllables. That's all I know.
Dude, I was trying to spell grueling before my my little pregame speech. I didn't know how to spell that. I was spelling it way wrong. Whatever.
Go with the double O. It always works. Grueling.
But Twin Omens here, friend, I think I'm rubbing my eyes a little bit. This looks like almost the same exact draft as Buffs and 10 did in game number 1.
Sometimes in competitive gameplay, this is actually a really interesting discussion that I can talk about for 10 minutes when it comes to like North America meta versus Europe metas. North America folks hate losing to stuff, and they will steal it a lot. This goes across multiple games. I'm not even kidding. If you go back and look at the history, if they get beat by something, they're going to steal it and then run it back at you. And people usually like to do that copy paste format. And honestly, it kind of works out in North America because sometimes you have teams that are kind of set in the way that they kind of play, right? And if you take away their strategy and then you apply that against them, sometimes they fumble and they don't show you the route of like how to beat it. And so you have this constant pitch-podge in drafts, like I win 1, you win 1, and I win 1 with these drafts. So I'm curious with Buffs and 10, seeing this, what is going to be their disengaged tools? And one thing in particular that immediately comes to mind for me is potentially Dynamo. I know Dynamo is a character that's kind of lower in the tier when it comes to competitive gameplay, but his disengage and his ability to switch an entire team fight on the fly can be really, really strong. Ooh, but we get a Paige, and a Paige can be pretty good at stopping the fight too with her ultimate.
Buff and Jors, we must have had a call, maybe during this VMix call too, friend. I don't know, but we said we want to see some new characters, and they are delivering here. We've got the Victor, we've got the Paige, and I feel like you do have to have those two in tandem. Paige can really help keep the Victor alive, just pump those heals in, and like we mentioned, she can be very, very strong. I think she can be strong in lane. She's got the dragon, she's got the barrier.
Yeah, it's the last that kind of sucks. But like in lane, she's good.
Yeah. That's exactly right. So I think that they know that where their timing is with Victor, okay, our early game might not be that good, so we got to make sure we can survive that hump to get to the other side. We're going through our next round of bans here. The police officer, he's gone.
Done. And we were talking about the patch notes a little bit earlier. I believe Curse was able to be reduced by 5 seconds as well. One thing that's good with Paige in particular is her stopping power because of her E sword that comes down, and then her ultimate as well with the carriage that comes out. But if you add a knockdown and a Curse on top of that, you pretty much have not a one-shot combo, but a one-shot set up. You do an entire combo, E into an ultimate, you have someone come fly in, and you find a takedown fast, right? And they have to consider, do I get spear resistance? Do I give ethereal shift to try and dodge that? You have to find some way to handle that power that Paige can bring. And don't forget, like, her ult is global. A good Paige will send ults across the map if they're able to get an idea of the silhouettes as well. So I really like this Paige idea, and I'm kind of interested to see how Twin Omen's going to deal with it.
Oh, I'm super hyped. When I do play MOBAs and games, I'm always a support character. That's just the kind of guy I am. So, always like...
You like to hold your team up. You're like
Alice. I do. Yeah, I am. So, and sometimes it's a heavy burden to bear. But, we take
I do what I can with my strong, buff shoulders. And this is when you flex.
There you go, flex. Yes, no. But, so some carries taken off the board here in terms of the second round of the draft. So, who do we still have on the docket? Mirage, we haven't seen yet, really. I would like to see him. Vindicta has gotten some play. Seven got a few adjustments in this last patch. So it's a lot of still characters on the board. It will be the Yamato, a little extra spirit damage here for the side of buffs and 10.
And one thing, too, we were talking about the other characters. When there is a page on opponent, this is another time where I'm like, Calico is it, man. Because, like, if you can get a fight started and you go into Ava form and you come in from behind, Paige cannot handle Calico's upfront damage. You can do an entire combo wipe on her and be out of the fight before she can even yell to help for the team, right? Especially if you can catch her after she does her setup combo. Like, she is a squishy character. So, I would like some kind of assassin available here to try and get on top of that Paige. My recommendation is Calico, but of course you can try to get like an Abrams flank. And one character in particular that I think is great at like kind of hiding the shadows a little bit, Billy. Billy can be fantastic as well for setting up those fights. And if he's able to get in the back line, do a battering ram, into a beatdown, into a hit, Paige is something down to 10% HP, you turn around, pop your ultimate, grab the rest of her team, and she can't save them. It's over, right? So those kind of things are definitely situations that Twin Omen can start thinking about right now.
Sure, and they could do with a little bit of frontline, right? I mean, they have the Abrams, that's great. Billy kind of also helps in that regard as well. They have a player, Raffi. The Raffi Taffy has gone 4-2 over the season on Billy. I don't think I saw them in that previous game unless they're under a different name, which, they very well could be. But for now, they're going with the Viscous. I kind of like that. Get a support for your squad. And this actually might be the Paradox Viscous lane in the middle. That can be very strong lane, lots of poke. Now it's about, okay, how do you pair the Infernus and the Abrams? I like Vindicta and Abrams work well together. I call it the Fox and the Hound, right? He kind of flushes them out, she shoots them, that kind of thing. But they're going with another carry, the 7. So that means it might be Abrams with the Infernus, Abrams with 7. Probably going to how they're setting it up.
I thought you were going with the Fox and the Hound because it was a heartbreaking moment in a movie, and I thought like they break your hearts when they destroy you, But your definition is probably a little bit safer. 7 coming in. 7, one of these characters that I enjoy in terms of scalability. He did get a slight buff on his ball as well as a little chain ball. On his 1. I haven't played him and seen how it feels at all, but it is something to consider when going into today's matchup. When there is a new draft in the middle of a tournament, teams are trying to figure out, okay, what is good, what is helpful. But 7 is just kind of safe in my opinion. You're being able to wave clear pretty well. You're able to kind of hold down those lanes, and it is something that Twin Omen has been doing, is leaving 1 to 2 people in the lanes constantly to soak up and farm for that late game. So I can see 7 fitting that candidate very well. But here comes my most hated character ever, Philly. You have to talk about him because I will never talk about this guy. Bebop.
Bebop, the Australian robot, man. We talked about him a little bit in draft number 1. There's some players like Shad and Shoju who play this character very well. So it makes sense that if you're looking for a little bit of an initiation, this is going to be your guy. If you don't go for the Holiday or the Mo and Krill, this is a little bit of a safer option. And then there's the Mirage, the Genie carrier, right? We were talking about him too. If you need a carry, he was still on the board, has that global presence. Once again, very impactful. So you work that well with the Paige, they can kind of, be on different sides of the map and help each other out and still be okay. So really like that, but I'm just curious, is this going to be a lot riding on the Bebop to get really early picks to kind of create that fear? And then as everyone's playing hesitant on Twin Omens, then allows the Assassins, the jumpers like Shiv and Yamato to then really find their space.
I mean, I think it's really cool too when you have like an assassin that can move forward, like Yamato in this space. You can have Mirage come in and go up and move in with the tornado and sure to lock down a target and then go from there. It just has to have really crisp comms. Like if you do not communicate well, Mirage can be really hard to pull off. But in a real oiled team, he is fantastic. Great laning after 1 or 2 items, and then just being able to be there and be this omnipresent character is fantastic. And also, I like that Mirage is the final pick here as well. In case Ivy was picked up by Twin Omen, you could have Mirage immediately just match with the Ivy. And it puts Twin Omen in this weird scenario. Like, do we want to play macro base or do we want to play a little bit more firepower? And they choose to actually go for Geist instead.
Yeah, I really like that. Sorry, I'm looking at Twin Omens. I'm trying to figure out where their lanes might be. It might be Paradox and Geist in the mid lane. Probably matching up against the Yamato and the Bebop there. Then maybe the Geist and the 7, and then the Abrams and the Infernus. That's probably how I'm looking at it. When it comes to buffs and 10, how do you think they're going to put those matchups together?
Oh, brother. Put me on the spot here. It's kind of interesting because I like Page and Mirage together, but I feel like it's on the weaker side, especially on the early side. But I like being able to have that shield available for Mirage. I want him to just farm, right, and set up and go from there. Yeah. Luckily, I don't have to guess because we're hopping into the match and we're going to be able to find out right away. So we actually have Abrams and 7 together, it looks like, on the right, Viscous and Paradise in the middle, which will allow for a lot of rotations. And then on the far left, we're going to have Infernus with Geist.
Chat, I was wrong. Flame me, please. No, just kidding. Yeah, okay. I like it. I like the setup here. Just to see how it all plays out. I want to take a look at the mid lane though, because that is where I feel like it's a big keystone piece. And they put Paige here. So I'll be curious to see how she builds her abilities, where she puts those points into. First, she's going for the barrier, right, to give that extra attack speed and whatever. So really trying to facilitate that dive on the Yamato, who's going to be looking to burst down a target.
Yeah, I think that's really the point that needs to be hammered on here. You just want to make sure that Yamato is as set up as possible to succeed, and being able to put on that barrier on top of Yamato allows for her to get in and go for her full engage of moving into her power strike and, of course, slashing her katana wildly forward, and then able to retreat before having a lose out on the trade, which is pretty important. As long as you can dodge out on Paradox's 3 ability, and make sure not to get slowed down, she's going to feel really good in this lane, and Paige is going to be able to really enable that.
All right, folks, so take a look at those health bars. Ian, I don't know if that's a glitch or he just really... Okay, he didn't have that much HP. He was so close to going down. Look at him. Thank you, Noodles, who is our observer for this series today. This guy, oh my gosh, that's the pressure of this dive in the mid lane.
Yep, certainly so. And now you have to kind of like hang out here for a little bit. One thing you kind of have to wait for before you go up and buy, and what they're watching out for, especially against Yamato, is you can't go up into shop right away if the minion wave is pushing into you. You see how Yamato has an angle where you can see the shop on the far left? That's why he's playing so safe and playing reserved and trying to play around the heals. And then once they get that minion wave pushed forward, then he'll go buy his healing mechanics and use it from there. So heads up play there from Ian, making sure he did not get picked off by Yamato, because she will dive you in the early game, and with her stamina, she has a pretty decent amount in the at level 1, she'll be able to get out of there without any issues.
Absolutely. And folks, you might be like, well, why doesn't he just go back to base? Well, that's sometimes a death sentence for your laner and for your guardian, so you have to try to stick in there as long as possible. It's a double-edged sword. Damn if you go back, damn if you stay. So you got to be shifty there in the lanes, get those extra regens. If you're behind in the trades, which you see the Viscous doing here, you gotta stay alive, and that's a good heal from the Trooper to stay in it. Let's take a look at the other lanes here, my friend. I want to head over to lane number 3 and see what we got. The 7 and the Abrams can be working in tandem here versus the Bebop, and I believe that's the Mirage.
They want to kill me.
Yeah, so this is a lane that you have to be really careful with. You got to keep full eyes on Abrams, but on the upside, you got to keep eyes on Bebop. He'll be the one that really sets and dictates the pace here with his hooks and be able to knock you back. And you see where Abrams is playing on the left? He wants to hide in a situation where Abrams is able to move forward if they try to dive towards 7, but also be in a position where he's not taking any bullying coming his way. So great positioning by him. And on the other side, you see Bebop kind of sitting in the shroud, whatnot. He's lurking, man. He's a shark trying to find its prey. And if he can find that hook, it's going to feel really good for him. Abram actually goes for a hard engage and goes in by the Bebop. But here in the middle lane, we also see Paradox getting poked out while Yamato goes forward. Oh my gosh. Getting hit by the Guardian as well as some decent damage. Great setup there by Viscous, but luckily Yamato's able to escape.
I think they got to change that ability on Page to defend and fight to dive and fight. I think that is what they're going to call this lane here, friend. But the amount of pressure that they are putting on here to this Guardian, look at the damage they've already chunked through it. This Viscus just being slapped around here in the lane. And I do love the restorative shot because it allows you to still be aggressive, still poke on through. So well done here for the Yamato. We haven't talked about lane number 1 yet, though. The Victor and the Shiv going to be working in tandem. I feel like you don't see that every day.
Yeah, these are both characters that will be okay if they're able to get on top of you, but typically in lane, they just want to try and farm as safely as they can at 3,400, and you kind of see the result of that as the Furnace and Geist are stepping up, trying to bully them and get a little bit of damage on top of the Guardian. But I gotta say, they're doing a great job of just kind of holding it down right now with their clear, and they build towards that 3,400. I mean, if we look at the numbers in the top right, they're about 300 to 400 away. Victor's going to feel immediately better. Remember, if he gets his ultimate, he's able to die in the middle of the lane, at least for once there, as he waits for the cooldown to come on back. And then, of course, if he's able to get a form of CC and some damage on the opponent, here comes Shiv swinging in for an execute. So the lane's going about as expected, at least from my limited experience in competitive play, of what I would assume going to occur.
Hey, give yourself some credit, friend, okay? You got this. You got this.
Well, like, the thing is like, you know, you think you know the game, but this is what makes MOBA so beautiful, right? Is like, I have an opinion on how it works. You have an opinion on how it works.
Sure.
But then these guys, based on what their picks and whatnot, have an opinion on how it's going to work as well. And all we can do is, like, respect what we see, you know, and try to learn from it. Oh, but hang on! This is going to learn from that one as he gets picked in the middle of the map. Here comes Paradox trying to turn around, but Yamato's going to be able to transform. She goes forward with a grappling hook. Here comes the slash, goes for the power strike, trying to find the kill, trying to bounce around, and they will be able to pick it off. Mid lane has now been opened up by Paige and Yamato.
There was no respect there, my friend. That was the dive and fight combination. The Yamato lifting the team up like me when I play support. Yes. They got it done there. A ton of damage going to be put onto this Guardian. Well worked. They've really put a lot of focus into this.
Look at Paige.
I'm looking at her. What do I need to see?
She's flanking. She was potentially going in for a flank here on the far left. She was grabbing a bunch of those boxes, but decided to go ahead and pull away. I was like, you don't have your ultimate. I thought she maybe would come in and go for the Furnace pick, but decides to pull away. Just taking the time to grab a few more boxes after finding those 6. My bad to interrupt, but I was actually really curious what was going to unfold.
All good. You know, and when you said that, I was looking at her HP bar. I wasn't looking at her on the map. So, you know, I'm going to do that. I was like, huh? You got it, friend. No, if a gangster coming out, you got to let me know. You got to let the crowd know if things are about to pop off, because they certainly will. Now all the ultimates are online. Everything here for Twin Omens. They need to get on the front foot. It seems like they've been losing a lot here in the laning phase, just in this trade war of the HP bars. Here's the swap coming through, though, on the Yamato now in a really tough position. Has some escapability, though, however, but no shadow transformation. Runs into the walls. That's just a glitch, or is that just the wrong button keys? Using the cover immensely well here to heal up and get out.
My gosh, that wall was so cool from Paradox. She put it parallel to the ground. And Yamato typically wants to be kind of in your face a little bit. She wants to be able to threaten weaving in a couple of punches, some light melees here and there. And also wants to be kind of close to get the restorative shot and make sure to get her power slash with her 3. And with Yamato putting the wall down like that and going for the swap, she put her in a position where she forced her to go back. And speaking of going back, as we're going to see Paige get picked up, she goes straight to base. Here comes the Yamato transformation. She's about to full reset. She goes through the wall, tries to goes in. Parry comes out, but it's a bit too early. And Yamato is going to find the takedown while she pops her healing right, trying to survive.
But is that a worthy trade? I mean, your Page goes down. I guess that's the quickest way back to base, right? But you expend a very crucial ultimate to get the Paradox. I don't know. I guess you take it. It's also another double-edged sword kind of situation, so you might as well get the kill. Now it's 6.5 souls there for Sojo, and another elimination to their back. This mid lane has just been all the jazz here in this match. Here's the flame dash running through, trying to find the gangster. Can they get it? A good wall dash there, but not enough to clear the building. Now he's stuck in a rock and a hard place. A good parry and an even better punch, and the Shiv, he's down.
Fern's gonna feel good about that one. That's one of those plays that you go to bed and you're like, you know what? I kind of popped off today. That was a pretty sick parry, and they find another pick. He even drops a parry for good measure afterwards, saying, yes, my FP does indeed work. Twin Omen making some plays here on the far left, which I think was really needed, because Bustin' 10 right now is getting this Yamato nice and fed. Although Paige does go down once again.
Yeah, didn't have the ultimate available, no shadow transformation too, so the dive and fight not really working here as more items come online. for the Viscous and the Paradox. They are now like, okay, we can actually barrage you from afar. We've got goo, we've got time on our side. Here's a seismic impact, but it might be just used for escape here. No, the engage is imminent onto the Mirage, but he's got the Tornado, he's got the Traveler if he needs it. But he also has the Guardian at his back, the Hyper Beam expended from the side of the Bebop to keep his carry alive.
It was a wonderful punch into a charge into another punch to get some decent damage on Mirage. Mirage, though, able to escape. And all this was done to set up for the possible plays on top of the centers. However, Abrams being low on HP, do remember you're going to need a total of 240 HP to be able to grab those centers because it takes 60 a pop every time you go for a Halo punch. And since he was down at 300, he decided not to risk it there and waited for his teammates and him to heal up a bit. And he's still sitting around the corner here. He wants to find a pick on this Mirage, and there it potentially is. Seven comes in with a stun. Here comes Abrams, goes for a charge, goes with a punch, Bebop with a hook, throws him on the corner here. He goes into the Guardian, goes for a parry. I don't think it actually fully hit, but that's okay. He gets out as they do find a Mirage.
Wow, okay, I think a misstep there for Buffs in 10. They thought that they had pushed the Abrams maybe back to base, but
yeah,
no, he's a tanky boy. He can stay alive pretty well. He's got regen and everything. So yeah, stepped up a little too far in lane. The shoulder charge to take him down. So a good kill potential here in lane number 3, and that's the first Guardian off the board.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, you think you understand what the opposing team should be doing. Like, in all hindsight, I would assume that Abrams was taking the centers and then backing fully to go for a heal. But Abrams literally sat there for 15 seconds, regenerated some of his HP, and then came in for an engage afterwards. And sometimes those educated guesses can come back to bite you, and I'm sure that's going to be something they're going to be wondering about later on in the future. But here's Bebop, trying to set up for another engage, comes in, gets a parry on the Guardian, but sadly, a Viscous is coming in from behind him. They do find an Abrams, but Bebop is trying to get out. No way, is he out of here? No, okay, he gets picked off. What a fight right now, Philly. My God, take it over. My heart is racing.
Yeah, and everybody being taken to school here. Kills are flying off the board, but it's Buffs in 10 who come out worse from where they lose 3 in the scuffle. A couple of Guardians have been, toppled in this one, but most importantly, the one in the mid lane that's going to unlock the Yamato to allow her to go to these other lanes and get some ganks done to help her teammates out after taking the center. Going to have to regen there a little bit and then move forward, but the Guardian in lane number 3 has been toppled again. Dismantled is that one. More space on the map.
Trying to buy time here. She has her ultimate in 13 seconds. Paige came over to help out. Paradox coming in for a full chase as well. Yamato is just trying to escape here, and looks like she will finally escape. But meanwhile, well, this didn't completely happen for Twin Omens. Look over at Buffs in 10. Victor pushed in far left on top of that Guardian and was able to get it. Great exchange for them. Decent amount of souls for the team, and Victor getting stronger as he's building up with a total of 9.8k souls.
I'm actually, I'm glad you brought that to the attention. I want the folks to look at it too. The soul disparity, yes, they're close in souls, but where they're kind of allotted is pretty, different, right? You can see the spikes there for Yamato and for Sojo and for Banshee, right? Whereas on the other side, everybody's around 9, so you'd like that better. The Hyper Beam, there you go. The Kameha, zapping the goo ball. Looking for Cypher as well. The seismic impact does not find anything. Can't take the Hyper Beam out of the sky. And there is another elimination on the board. It is just pure chaos here in the Cursed Apple. Now these two are going at it, but I think the Bebop will be just fine.
Yeah, it's one of the weaknesses of a Bebop is after he uses all his cooldowns, he's kind of rough for a little bit there. So Abrams was trying to go for the chase, but he was able to skedaddle just perfectly. Abrams currently looking for a fight here too, but Yamato shows up. She's bringing in her damage, just locking down the Paradox. The Paradox cannot get away here. Trying to use as much mobility as possible. Was wanting to go for that vent, but I was like, wait, will we see the CC? Doesn't even matter. Picked off too quickly, and Abrams looks like he'll be next as he tries to escape.
Whew. Okay, friend. I think we got a level set. Buffs in 10 got a level set. Everybody's got to just take a deep breather here because folks are just dying left and right. Could be the Bebop next. One more hit will do it. They find him. Holy smoke and a pancake. Okay, that was all over the urn, I think, and somebody scored the touchdown at the end of it. Didn't quite see who. I think it was Twin Omens, but wow, okay. And they cleaned up a couple kills to boot.
There was 4 people in the last minute. It was under 150 HP.
Okay.
Paige was able to get the urn deliver behind there, so that's going to be nice there and experience. But still, I mean, souls is still relatively close though. 67 to 65k. Let's take a second here to look. Oh, we're about to have another fight here in the middle. I wanted to see where we were in the state of the game, but these guys are brawling.
Yes, they are, and the Shiv gets the swap right onto him, and they take down Air, evaporate him, and the Guardian falls as well. Twin Omens, they were pissed off after game number 1. They want to put the hurt in here in game number 2.
And they're doing it, man. Coordinated ganks, coordinated pressures as well, trying to keep their opponent off foot. Now, with that being said, someone in particular has started becoming an issue in the late game here. We already talked about Victor a little bit, who's looking great on farm, 13K, getting closer and closer to that fabled 30K that everyone talks about. But someone that should also be looked at is Soju here on Mirage. Once he gets a couple of items unlocked, he starts to become a major issue, and he'll be able to stop these 4-man rotations that are coming in from my Twin Omen by side splitting and then showing up for the fight later on. So although things are looking good for Twin Omen, don't count Buffs in 10 out yet. Their global pressure is coming online right now, and it will become an issue.
My friend, we call that scaling. We're
That's
scaling.
right.
We're scaling. That's right. So they're okay with, it's like you have to bend but not break. You're okay with giving up some Guardians, understanding that that's the nature of the game as you're building your timings. You have to give up a little bit of space. It's just you can't give up too much. And I think they're clapping back nicely, but a pick onto the Bebop, not what you're looking for here in this instant.
Yeah, Bustin' 10 losing 1, and Twin Omen trying to keep up the fight. Yamato being pushed into a corner here by Abrams. Seems like it's been his job just to find Yamato and keep her away from the fight. Meanwhile, on the far left, I believe Paige is in a position, no, excuse me, that's a Geist, having to defend against a Victor who continues to pushing on that yellow lane, trying to get some damage on that Walker. But Geist going to be able to hold it for now. Abrams and Paradox, however, on the other side of the map are looking for a Shiv who might find himself in an odd position. He's even got a Viscus and a 7 nearby. Shiv currently above, but low on HP, and he is just trying to move out with this movement, but I don't know if he'll have enough.
And this is his side of the map. What are you guys doing over there? You leave him alone. You let him go back to his house. Like, no. Every time you see a Shiv in the game, you're like, no, I hate this guy. He needs to be eliminated as quickly as possible. But now that because of that forward push, friend, like you were talking about, the map pressure is there. They're able to secure the urn, at least pick it up here, and then try to go move it to the other side of the map. So let's see how they do that coordinated effort. But a swap will deter them just for now. A good shoulder charge right at the end to take the Shiv down a notch. The defendant fight there to save him for an instant, but I don't think that will keep him alive for long. Air once again eliminated, but it is a lot of folks out of position. The Abrams, the one left like a dangling piece of meat. They're all gunning for him. He has not a lot of health. El Gato taken down, but Narwhal left as well, turned into blubber. Woo! Another engagement, another skirmish over the urn.
And Twin Omen is very happy to take these fights right now. Middle lane and far right lane are pushing thanks to the pressure that they've been putting on with their troopers. And so they're like, okay, well, we have pressure going. We're denying you experience. We're getting damage on your walkers. Yes, we will take fights. And the best part about taking these fights is we can do them slowly. We can burn you down and decide when we want to commit fully because we don't have to defend any of our waves. So Twin Omen's feeling really good about that. Bustin' 10 actually sent Mirage over on the far left lane as well to stop the Infernus and Geist push, and he wound up getting picked off. And Twin Omens now, in my opinion, is starting to really run away with this game here in the mid game. The global pressure they're able to put on despite not having global heroes in quotation marks is phenomenal.
They are moving well across the map. Like I said, they're playing a little bit angry here in this one. They're moving to get the urn, and I don't think Buffs and 10 are going to be able to contest it. So they're going to find a trade instead. They get the final Guardian in lane number 3 to unlock their first flex spot, and they desperately needed so many souls being left unspent here. Now the Victor says, hey, I've got to do something. I've got to lead the charge. They're able to get an elimination. The urn goes in.
Urn goes in, and Walker also taking pressure here on this far left lane. Keeping an eye on here. Shiv trying to defend. He's got some decent wave clear, especially with some teammates on the way to potentially help out, but that Walker is starting to get bruised. It's down to half HP. Geist is committing. So is Infernus. Shiv steps up to try and get some damage to see if he'll be able to do anything here, and he is not going to be able to do anything as he is going to have to forfeit that Walker. Now, with that being said, the rest of the lanes feeling pretty good now for Buffs and 10. There were just 3 pickups in the middle lane and the far right lane, which means now Twin Omen are going to be able to grab Walkers of their own.
And friend, we saw this in game number 1. We're seeing it here once again, trading on the opposite side of the map. Okay, you take our Walker on lane 1, we'll take it on lane 3. So the pressure and the teeter-totter is going either way. Both folks trying to weight it down so it's in their favor, but it's really difficult to do. So a good set of macro play. If you know something's being traded across the map, take what you can. But now, okay, we're in this tough part where you can't get picked out now, or it's mid-boss.
It all comes down to like exchanging information on comms, right? Like if you're like 3 people are currently on yellow, you can say, okay, cool, slow it down, but die slowly, or take as much minions as you can, and we'll take the rest of the map. And I like what I'm seeing for both these teams. You are completely correct in terms of that teeter-totter. They're really seesawing around and making sure they're in a good spot. And you can see the result in the actual soul exchange at the top, 110k to 104k. Typically, if you're around 18 to 22 minutes and I'm within 10k of my opponent, I feel pretty good about where we're at. Of course, it does change when it comes to compositions, but I would look at this and go be like, all right, we can have team fights. We're close enough to where we can engage on them. It all comes down to when you want to pull the trigger.
Yeah, because they might have souls that aren't spent, you know, like
True.
this guy's right here is 2,500 in the pocket, right? Okay, that goes to the total count, but it's not spent, so you're not getting the power from it. But yeah, I think you're right. You do feel emboldened to take some of these fights and say like, okay, we can outskill them, or if we get our combination off first because we get them out because our comms are superior, whatever it is. But right now, content to clear the jungles, make sure those denizens are off the board, the boxes are broken, the sinner sacrifices prayed to, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. But we'll see where they go to next. As we move forward, what's the game plan here for Buffs in 10? Do they have to take the initiative? Do they have to look for a Bebop hook, or do they have to wait for a defensive moment to then counterattack?
Yeah, I'm waiting for a Yamato and Victor engage, and then a call out to Mirage of where they want to go in for it. One thing that just came online for Yamato in particular is that Spirit Snatch, which is going to help out in those engagements, to be able to get those light punches in, actually going in for a hard engage. There's going to be a combo here, though, as you see the full pop-in from Paige, trying to lock down this Infernus, but he's able to dash away thanks to that ability. Abrams trying to come in for a chase as well, goes for a smash to try and save his teammates. Victor's will get picked up, and Infernus is still alive, which is going to allow for him to retreat, and now Victor is trying to chase down Abrams. Look at that damage as this aura just continues to burn down Abrams, who actually dashes through him. I wonder if that was intended. Low on HP. Abrams going below in the subways, trying to escape. Victor wanting to catch him. Can he get it? And he does, and he gets a nice bag of 600.
But friend, was that the core you were looking for? Was that the target that you were looking to take down, expending 2 crucial ultimates to do so? No, you wanted the Infernus. Yeah. So, but then it's like, but did we target prioritize correctly? Because the Paige and the Victor, not the most CC in the world. So it's like, can we lock down the Infernus? Probably not. So the Buffs in 10, they have to be cleaner with these engagements moving forward, picking their targets more effectively. On the back of all that, they lost the Shiv once again, he's getting further behind. He's only at 18k.
Yeah, that's a situation where if you're Paige, I'm like, okay, do I want knockdown or curse to make sure we can get that Infernus in the future? Because yeah, like, pie in the sky, I want an Infernus 10 times out of 10, right? Sure. But you are completely correct. It's like, do I have enough between us to get this lockdown? That's where knockdown and curse can come in and be really helpful for Paige to make sure that occurs. So wonderful to see that in the future. Right now, an urn is up and available, and Buffs in 10 are trying to get it turned in. It's currently on Shiv, though, who is their executor. So they got to find some way to get a pick there. And look at that. Paige gets taken out, and suddenly this urn turn-in has become a possible slaughter for Buffs in 10.
Yikes, the Flame Dash just turning everybody to a crisp. The Yamato trying to escape, but their number was on the board. Now the Walker is the next one available. Go back up here just for now, but wow, this seesaw once again fighting on both sides of the map. The Geist trying to take the 1v1 now, but she's really just desperate to hold this Walker as the rest of the team is doing the work. They find 3 across the board.
Do find 3, but Buffs and 10 were able to answer back and take the Walker on the far left. You see Geist actually trying to give chase here. She wants to make sure they can't jump on top of the power lines to get back home there. But now with the mid-boss up and available, Twin Omens setting up to try and grab it here. And they should be able to get it pretty soundly. There is nobody near on by. And now we can deal with the Rejuvenators as 3 are available for Twin Omen.
Whew, and speaking of twins, they've took down 2 Walkers through all of that, and then the mid-boss, so they are feeling very comfortable now, like really good map control for them. The urn kind of been hanging out with Buffs in 10, but I don't think they're too concerned with that. They're just like, all right, we got this other Walker to take. There is the swap, though, but it's all only against the Abrams. He'll just charge right out of there. They do find Shad. That's their main engage tool. The hook no longer available. This Walker is trying to do everything. He's like, guys, I'm shooting him. Please target, prioritize, somebody down. But they cannot find him. A great angle here from Noodles to capture all the action, and there's a bulk of the damage. The Genie Courier has been eliminated. They're looking for something. The Yamano, they have to turn this around. They have the farm to grapple through the wall. What is this magic there from the assassin? Takes down the Paradox. They have the Reju Crystal. Still 2 more to go here. The Reju's keeping everybody up. The minions buffed as well. They are just charging forward. You feel like the battle of resources, it's got to end at some point, and it's got to go the way of Twin Omens.
Yeah, it's going in their favor. They do have their 1 Rejuvenator left over, and Yamato finally pops the transformation, trying to stay alive. We'll be able to pop Abrams, who will eat that last Rejuvenator, but here comes a swap. Ooh, a big slash, but not enough. And that's where we were talking about it last game, where we saw it's really hard to push in the middle of the lane. It'd be really, really difficult, unless you did what Twin Omen just did. They came up with the Rejuvenators, and then they got on top of the second story and got behind the Walker, which makes it harder for Buffs and 10 to get the engagements that they want. And through attrition, they slowly pick them off, and we're able to open up the map. Great play there by Twin Omen. Buffs and 10 now have to try and find a way to bounce back, get control of their map, and go from there. Looking over at the Souls, it's starting to look okay for Mirage. He should be starting to hit his power spike here, as well as Victor. So we will keep an eye on that. Scaling, as you mentioned earlier, Mr. Philly, is important.
Very important, and they've bent a lot here. They've broken a decent amount, but this is a good clap back, taking Max down. They're charging forward. They're looking for the Abrams. He's
nice
dodging
movement.
and ducking there. They find the detective here. They've investigated. They follow the tracks. They just have to eliminate him. Can they do it? Yes, the cat once again snuffed out. 2 down for the side of Twin Omens. This is the moment for Buffs and 10 to get something done.
That's right. They have 30 seconds until Paradox is here, 45 until Abrams is effectively a 6v4. And remember, they have a Mirage who can peel up if they need to. So they should be stepping up and starting to work on top of these Guardians here. They want to get them low. In fact, you already see a member up in the top right corner trying to get some damage. There's a Shiv here as he moves in and tries to sneak in for the Shrine and some poke damage as he's right behind the Guardian. Man! I am loving this play where teams are getting behind their opponents when they want to play for an objective just to make them look at them, and then they skedaddle out. Well done there by Buffs and 10.
And keeping the Mirage in the back line, making sure their waves are set, right? He wasn't even in that fight as they were taking the base Guardians to unlock the flex slot. That was their main objective, where they had a couple seconds on the board. They could go for Earn now. They secured both bridge buffs. That is good, patient play here for Buffs in 10. They learned from the mistake of their opponents in the last game of pushing too far into the base and then getting the turn around. But that, my friend, that means they have to win at least another fight or 2 to get another objective and move further closer to that patron. About how do they get it done. This Bebop, for me, just hasn't done enough yet in this match.
Now we do have the Earn available. Buffs in 10 forced Viscous to use his goo ball, had to retreat away from the fight, which means now a major power tool available for Viscous is going to be missing, while Buffs in 10 are going to have all of their ultimate abilities setting up for this Earn 10. So they're going to probably leave Mirage on the far right, allow for him to soak this wave, and then teleport into the fight at the last second as needed. However, one thing that's kind of annoying for them is that there was a full pushover that Yamato has to deal with, so they're fixing that lane right now. But Twin Omen, fully aware of this, has actually set up the middle lane to be pushed in too, so they're forcing someone to defend that right now, and potentially they can go in for an Earn fight because they are slightly ahead in Souls.
Yeah, and they have the superior positioning because they were able to set their lanes. They were able to group up first towards it, but it's like, should we go for the Earn? Is this just a bait, really, for the side of Buff and 10? Maybe just let the Earn go and try to find a pick elsewhere, or bait them into an awkward engagement, but they already have the positioning. And there's the hook. That's massive. They're onto the 7. They have to secure the kill now. They have to lock him down. Still, the 7 is finally taken down. The charge has been unleashed by the Norwal. The full pod called in to help. A swap there to put somebody out of position, and it will be Soju. The bulk of the damage eliminated here from this fight. Everybody twisting and turning. Air once again eviscerated in these fights. Has not been able to find purchase. Still, the battle rages forward. Ultimates being expended. Dragons being unleashed upon the battlefield. Everybody looking for an opponent that they can take down. Who is the opposite number? There goes Gar. The Infernus has been taken down. Still, it's a bloodbath here over the Earn. Everybody falling either side. My goodness, friend, it's hard to keep track, but I believe I have to. That is Buffs in 10. It's an exchange, even 3 for 3. The Yamato now finally to grapple in. Her power spike is here, and she says, I am here to eliminate you. Only one more member to go. It is the Geist who has to retreat. Oh my smokes. Shad's also gone. Everybody dead in this one.
Yep, it's going to be the Page, the last one here scanning, and she is finally going to be picked off. There was no Earn turned in, but there were a couple of takedowns that occurred, as well as a massive bag to be grabbed afterwards. The Earn actually, that fight went so long. The urn was taken all the way over to the turn-in point, and it still ran all the way back to the original location. That's how long that fight was. Impressive stuff from both teams, and you start to see actually what the Geist is doing in these fights as well. I thought that was actually really, really impressive from Twin Omens. Geist's whole thing here is to get low and then make sure to trade with either Victor or Yamato in HP. If she can do either of that, she feels pretty comfortable in winning the fight, and Twin Omens was able to pull that out just barely because of her health swap. So Geist was a wonderful final pickup, and I will have to note that in the future for drafts. If you see these big melee-based characters like Abrams, Yamato, and Victor on the opposing team, if you have two of them, Geist will always be a wonderful pick. So love to see that. Gotta shout out Sheep. She was one of the main reasons why we were able to see that cleanup finally occur.
Whew. Yeah, and that was such a back and forth affair, just showing once again how closely these teams are matched up. But now it's another fight over the urn. This time it will be the Twin Omens who are in control of it first. Let's see if they can get to the end zone, and there it is, the soul urn return with the help of the cube. Now they are going to press the issue here. They're firmly in the driver's seat. Once again, a massive engagement moving forward. The goo ball, he just lifts himself right in. He doesn't even care, and he gets air once more. The grappling hook is able to be expended, chopping through a couple of folks. The storm cloud, this is what was missing in the last fight, zapping a couple of members down. Huge ultimate there from Cypher.
Yamato able to pop her Shadow Transformation, and she moves in though, looking to start cutting some people down, but she has already lost 3 of her teammates, and she will fall as well. Bussin' 10 has certainly turned into this late game scenario where they're trying to play a pick comp. It's all based off of Beatbox hooks into a knockdown from Paige, into her E, into her ultimate. And it's worked a couple at times, but it's not working enough. Twin Omen is able to really identify the strategy, and they have realized the last 3 fights, that has been the main way that Buffs in 10 are fighting. So if anyone does get hooked on, you're seeing them immediately dash forward as well, dropping down ultimates and making sure that they secure the cleanups afterwards. And Twin Omens are just doing such a great job because of it, and they are rewarded with a 27k soul advantage and 3 rejuvenators as they take out the mid boss. Oh my gosh, Billy. If I was a betting man, I would put at least $7 on this. A win for Twin Omens. At least 7.
At least... You know, usually when I make bets, it's like $1, Bob. That's all. That's all I got. But yeah, I'm liking this from Twin Omens. They're really pushing the tempo, and I think that is the big difference, right? Yep. Each and every fight, they're the ones that say, "No, we're stepping up to you." Whereas Buff and Tens kind of want to wait a little bit. Or if they do go in, it's the victor, and they're like, "All right, then we'll just turn around and focus you. We've got the damage, we've got the life exchange, whatever it is, to eliminate him." So their win conditions have turned into loss conditions, it almost feels like, in this one. So it's now about how does Twin Omens close out the map. They're going to start here with another urn.
Okay, so another urn, they're moving it towards their opponents. This is always a great way to bait your opponents into a fight when they're running a hook composition, right? Typically, when a hook composition wants to move forward, they want to get the drop on you, and if you're trying to turn in an urn, you're alerting them that we are going to go here, which means they are going to be positioned in that situation. And one thing that the Twin Omens can do here is just not turn it in. They can start to posture around it, and then have Infernus or somebody else try to backdoor on the other side of the map. You have so many options to play off of this because you know what Buffs and 10 wants to do. You see that? Bebop's already in position, ready for a hook, ready to go. And Twin Omen, they're not dumb, man. They're a competitive team. They know that they want to do this. So they're trying to posture and trying to get information from their opponents before they move forward.
So it's the I know that you know that I know that you knew that I did this. And, that's and then if no one's going to do anything, you can see all members just kind of chilling there. But like you said, that Infernus is able to set the lanes in their favor. Push those troopers forward. If they can take a little bit of damage, they can move on to a shrine. Somebody's going to have to respond to that eventually, and then you have yourself in a 5v6, and you feel like you can take that outright. This urn, this could be where the game ends, but there's 3 rejuves still on the side of Twin Omens. They get the touchdown. The urn has been delivered. Now they're looking for kills.
That was beautiful. They showed Infernus on the far left lane. Oh, hang on here. Let's watch this here as Bebop will get picked off in this pick composition. And this is starting to look really scary. Twin Omen ahead. Not very many low HPs. 3 rejuvenators available to them. Paige going to come forward with a massive ult. Does hit 5 people, but where's the follow-up?
And there is no follow-up there because the yoink is gone, and then they have to pounce on him. The Mirage doesn't want to really get into the fight. They're going to be sieging the base in earnest now. Here is Twin Omens. Just a few more base guardians to chunk through. As soon as they get to that, it's going to be all said and done. Armor plating here for the Geist. An interesting choice, but allows her to have some more tank ability. She's doing it now. She doesn't even care. She'll take all the brunt of the damage, stays in the fire and the flames. Their goals is the shrine. They need to eliminate him to unlock the patron. Only storming into the base is Twin Omen, and it is a bad omen for the sides of buffs in 10. They have been shrunk now to just the base.
And now the Sapphire Patron, the first phase, will be focused down, going down to half HP. Bebop will be up in about 15 seconds, but one has to wonder, do they have the ability here to find the picks that they are looking for? With Guy's fully healthy, in terms of low HP, but having her ultimate, she can turn around the fight at any one moment. Knockdown comes out, going to be a full engage on top of Victor. As Geist is able to switch out that HP, Victor gets low on HP, but will be coming back. And remember, he is a pretty strong ways next to people, but not strong enough to get burned down here. And with their two main engagers picked off, Buffston 10 is in trouble as Twin Omens step forward and start to focus the patron. 7 even dropping down a couple of chain lightnings, dropping down the storm. And we got a tie series, bro. It's 1-1 as we get ready for game number 3.
Woo! Oh, I mean, what? You can't expect anything more from an upper bracket final. We love this. If you are a Deadlock fan, we're going to keep rolling with it. My word, I'm sure we have a ton of clips to put forward, a ton of replays, of course, you know, using the metal technology to put forward for you guys to entertain you through that match. I know I was entertained. Just seemed like Sapphire Flame, the buffs in 10, their composition, what they were trying to do, just never came to fruition.
Sure, yeah. Like when you're running a pick composition, there's a couple of things you want. Well, first off, you want to be ahead, right? And if you're not ahead, you want to be neutral. And if you aren't neutral, you don't want to be behind. And they sadly got a little bit on the behind side. And when you get behind, your strategy becomes very noticeable, right? I know you're going to go for a bebop hook, and you saw the complete adjustment coming in. Hang on. Team. Twin Omens did a great job of understanding, okay, there are hooks coming our way. We know they want to hook, go into a page follow-up, do a full combo, and take them out. Let's use the urn to give them information, say, we want to turn in this urn, and then wait for them to make a mistake. And they capitalized it 3 times in a row, and that's where that deficit came from. It was such a brilliant way to be like, okay, you want picks? We'll give you picks, but you're going to get picked. And it was beautifully done. Great to see that from them. And now we're getting ready for a game number 3. That's strategy. That's macro all being boiled down to one match. And now it's whether or not we see a major adjustment for Buff or a Twin Omen tries to take this away from them.
Okay, well, only time will tell. But to get that one set up for you, my friends, we've got to go to a quick break. We'll see you on the other side. Maybe we're going. Okay.
Never.
You deal with the Kelvin, build a composition. We've got the merch, we've got shirts. Has had it. Welcome back, Deadlock fans. It's HD Philly B, it's Trick, and we're here for game number 3 of the upper bracket finals for Division 1 of the Death Slam League NA number 2. That is a mouthful, friend. And this game has been a mouthful. Epic team fights, back and forth affairs. It has had it all.
I think you nailed it, so good job on that, because that was a mouthful, and I don't think I can repeat it back to you, but you did it, and we thumbs up that. Nice. Yeah, we're set up for game number 3. It has been an explosive series so far, and we've seen a lot of adjustments, which is what I was looking forward to. I want to see what happens with competitive teams butt heads into each other, and somebody has to move, right? There's going to be a winner, and there's going to be a loser, and we've gotten that in spades already in our first round and our second round, as we have seen a team composition with Infernus as the feature go very, very well for Buffs and 10 in game number 1. And then that same type of composition went over to Twin Omen, and Buffs and 10 tried to adjust and go for a pick comp, and it didn't quite work out. Which means as we go into game number 3, the things that are going to be on the table here for me are Infernus. Where is he going to be? If you don't have first pick, you need to consider potentially a ban on him, or you need to have a formulated plan to lock him down. So I'm very curious to see where we're going to be going with that and what exactly our team's going to do.
It seems the common denominator here for victory is Infernus, but there's an even more underlying denominator, and that is Death Slam in general. We're going to put up our Discord here, and that is where you should join. That is GG/Death Slam. That's how, Trick, you found yourself here. I found myself here. You should find yourself here if you're not already part of this wonderful community. And of course, we've got the merch. We've got shirts. We've got mugs. We've got a whole plethora of things that you can wear to represent the Death Slam League. Help us all out here. Keep this wonderful community going. I'm repping it here on the chest right now. You should too. Now that we got some of those things out of the way, friend, you're right. The P's and B's, this is what's up next. The draft, each team, one tick mark, one victory. Just need one more to move on to the grand finals here in Division number 1.
The P's and B's? I've never heard that before. I've heard your I's and T's. The P's and B's? Where'd that come from? Is that
Picks and bands, P's and B's.
Oh my gosh, that's new for me. I'm gonna steal that from you, by the way.
I'm also PB, right? I'm
You're
Phil
gonna be
B, right?
Chat one day. I'll be casting another tournament or something. I'm like in the P's and B's, and you're gonna know that I stole that from you. Okay,
I stole that from somebody else. So you know what?
That's all casting is. It's just stealing from everybody. We all started with John Madden, so you know it's whatever.
That's right.
All right, so into the match we go. Pocket being banned right away, speaking of P's, and he's going to potentially be a mainstay, it seems like, for a lot of our tournaments, as he's been quite strong. And it seems like as I continue to learn the competitive world, Kelvin and Pocket are going to be some of those that you focus on. Now, we do have an immediate ban here from Buffs and 10. They are taking away Victor, which is interesting, because I thought Twin Omen showed a really interesting adjustment for that, and that's moving into a guy, so make sure you have that health bar switch to just make it a little bit harder for him to handle his lanes. But Buffs and 10s, regardless, they don't want to deal with it.
I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. I feel like Victor, you can handle. Like, he didn't really do anything crazy in that game. Like, he wasn't running away with it. They had to wait for the certain timings, which didn't really come to fruition.
Sure.
He wasn't really, I guess he was maybe kind of splitting the fights a little bit because he could just run at you. But it's like, bro, take off. You know you don't have first pick. Ban the Infernus. Ban the Infernus. The only thing I can think of is that they know that now they're going to pick Kelvin up and see if they can then build a composition around that to take out the Infernus, maybe frozen shelter him in and eliminate him. It's the Shiv still in the opener here for both these teams, even in game number 3.
It could be Shiv and Kelvin because they have a 1-2 here as well. So sometimes you like pick one character in draft and you'll use the rest of your time to be like, are we sure we want to do this? Aha, there it is. There's a Kelvin. So Philly has called it here. And Shiv has been a mainstay in the first one too, as we try to use that combination with the, what's it called? The frozen shelter?
Frozen shelter. You got
frozen shelter. I call it the igloo, the globe, the lock them down and pop them. If we want to just make some kind of thing for it. But very, very strong in that regard. And one thing that they may want to try and do is get on top of this Infernus and lock him down. And I'm kind of curious. I actually haven't seen a Phantom Strike from any of them, and I don't know how crazy this is, but a Phantom Strike on top of Infernus silences them, and then you can go for a combo afterwards. And I don't know if they have enough money to make it work on a Kelvin, but I would be interested to see some kind of adjustment to get on Infernus, because he's been getting away from a lot of fights in today's matchups.
Okay, I agree with that, right? But what about on the other side? How do you deal with the Kelvin? We saw like the silence wave kind of have a resurgence for a little bit, and like night shift and stuff. Do you think that that's? I think I saw it on Paradox in the last game being utilized pretty effectively. Do you think that they'll run it again, or they're going to draft somebody who specifically is going to kind of build that item and focus the Kelvin down in these fights?
Well, we have seen that Kelvin go 0-1 today, and he was banned the second match. So, you know, in my limited competitive knowledge, I'm like, Kelvin's trash. You know? But I do agree with you. Silence Wave is something that is very effective. Kelvin not being able to get the perfect timing down is something that you want to disrupt. This can come in hard CC form, or it can come in hard silence form, right? Which you have a couple options for in Deadlock. So just making sure that when he does not get what he wants to do, you're good to go. So you can do that in a couple of ways. One, CC the rate that we mentioned, or two, don't fight around him when you're trying to do objectives. If you know that he's on the opposite of the map, you can make a decision. If he's near you, you hold off and you wait for something to happen in your way. That's the power that he brings, but if you leave him open for draft, you have to respect it. That's just how it is, you know? That's how the cookie crumbles.
That's okay, fair enough. And I'm seeing the drafts kind of laying out extremely similar to game number one. This is exactly how I think it went for both teams, right? Viscous was even picked up third pick here for Buffs and 10. Twin Omen now getting the Abrams. I mean, okay, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, the first game was so very, very close. It was just one little misstep that caused Buffs and 10 to lose. So, okay, well, let's see what they got. We're going into the second round of bans here. It looks like the Sinclair will be taken off. Beside of Twin Omens, what do you think? Is it going to be a carry? Do you think it's going to be a support? What are your thoughts?
Well, we'll have to see. I actually want to focus a little bit more on the Sinclair here, because the Sinclair was actually an option that was used against Kelvin in game number one. And I wonder if that's what Twin Omens thought was the reason why Kelvin didn't do so well. You had the ability to yoink away the Kelvin's ultimate, and lock him down, but they also have the ability to take away Shiv's ult and go for a couple of executions, and I'm wondering if that's what they thought is the reason why the Kelvin matchup didn't go so well in game number one. So that's really, really interesting, and something I want to keep a note on going forward. Is Sinclair a potential answer to Kelvin in the future, you know, going forward?
Could be frozen shelter, right? Globe on globe action, right?
Yeah,
or like,
what's better than one igloo? Two igloos, man.
Hey, it's cold. That's why I wear jackets, man, because I'm always cold. And then with Calvin's on the board, it's got to be frosty.
There it is.
It will be the Warden taken off, which makes sense. I mean, he's just good. All the rest, sort of like the Infernus. He's just good. Like, anybody can play him. He's just fine. He does everything good. You can build him anyway. Spirit, the gun, whatever you want. But here's the 7. Did some work in that game in the later stages of it, right? With the Storm Cloud really separating the fights, allowing some damage to come through. When Omen picked them up.
Yeah, and I think Buffs and 10 wanted to make sure that they don't have to burn too much stamina. One thing that, like, I think a lot of people kind of forget about when it comes to Warden is he's so good at making you burn some of your movement abilities to get away from the fight, right? Because he just drops down his little grappling hook on you, and you're like, well, there goes 2 stamina bars, right? And that's something that Infernus and Paradox don't want to lose out on. They want to have their mobility because they want to get their hard engages. They want to be able to swap and then dash back to their team if need be. And so I like that ban for Warden. Now we do have Wraith and Yamato coming out, bringing a little bit of scalability, which we saw in our first game with both Infernus and Wraith, and it worked out very well for Buffs and 10. And then they have Yamato coming in afterwards to try and help get through these CC trains that she will have to deal with.
So, friend, I'm looking at the chart here. Sorry, folks, that's why I keep looking over to the side. I'm looking at the chart for game number 1, Buffs and 10. And Infernus, Yamato, Abrams, Wraith, Sinclair, and Paradox. I'm seeing everybody but the Sinclair who's just banned. So, yeah. Their recipe for success is great. Okay, maybe you just swap some garlic for some onion powder instead. It's going to taste just as good. And I think that they are going to be really strong in this one, whereas Twin Omen, they have basically the same recipe here. Instead of the Ivy, they went with the 7 instead. So, I don't know. It just seems like a little bit of adjustments, but this game might turn out very similar to game number 1.
Yeah, I'm looking over at Twin Omen, and I feel like I want a little more consistent damage. They pick up Ivy, so that gives them global pressure and some decent survivability. I think the first time we saw them play, they played it more of like a support Ivy with just like global prowess, right? So kind of curious to see how that's going to unfold, but I like Buffs and 10's draft right now. I feel like they get the engagements they want. They're able to get the hard disengages on their carries between both Wraith and Infernus. Like, both of them, like, if they're in a 1-on-1, they're out, right? And from Twin Omen, I haven't really seen aggressive rotations as much as I have from Buffs and 10. So I'm kind of leading towards Buffs and 10's draft right now. I want to see how they round it out, but I feel really good about Buffs.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good. And so instead of the Sinclair, they just put with the Page, and I think that's just as well. Has some good lane pressure, so helps their laner out, be successful. The other side, Twin Omen, they were trying to go for that split push strategy in the beginning because they had the Ivy and the Warden right in that game one and push both sides of the map. But Seven, not as strong as a pusher. Yeah, he's pretty good at clearing troopers, but I feel like, I don't know, just not as good as the Ivy or the Warden. So interesting adjustment. They had to do it because the ban on the Warden in the second phase, so they had to make the adjustment. But it sounds like they're going for the same strategy, which technically, I guess, it worked for them, right? They were in the driver's seat until they extended too far, and then they got counterattacked. So, okay, maybe they're like, hey guys, we can win this with this composition. Let's try it again.
I do like Paige coming in too, because she gives you the disengage that we saw a little bit last round. It wasn't as incredible as I thought it would be. But it just say, you know what? If Shift can't get execute, can their team really start going? Right? Like for Twin Omen, you kind of need to get that one engagement. You find one pick, and then use that number advantage. You slow them down. You keep chasing them down, and you kind of go from there. I do like Twins early game laning. I feel really good about that. Between Lady Guy, Seven, Kelvin, they do have proper lanes that can set up their carries, and if they can get early Guardians and open the map faster, I like their comp in that regard. However, if we go into the mid game, 10 to 15 minutes in, and Buffs and 10 is neutral in terms of souls, like very, very close to their opponents, I see Buffs and 10 running away with this one.
100%.
From what I've seen today, that's my thoughts.
It
about you,
seems, I tend to agree. I think the team that has this kind of higher tempo, right? They're not waiting for this timing at the 30K mark or whatever. They're just trying to win the phases as they come up through the game. Yeah, I think I like that. And this composition that's been the Abrams and Infernus kind of comp paradox mixed in there too. It's just in your face, aggressive. It's just NA style. We're jumping at you. We're fighting all the time. We're guerrilla warfare and we're just jumping in the alleyways, whatever it is. Yeah, I really enjoy that coming out from Buffs and 10. I'll put my money on them in this one.
Okay, well, speaking of just being aware of everyone's opinions in the world, I love North America because everyone in North America has an opinion. So let's go over to our chat real fast. Guys, let me know what you think. Who's going to pull off this win here? We've had a total of 3 matches so far. We're tied up 1-1. Game number 3 coming at you. Who pulls it off? Buffs and 10 or Twin Omen? Let us know in the comments. Love you guys being here. Appreciate you all so much, and I hope you guys are enjoying. And if you're not following the stream already, please do me a favor and follow it. It's so awesome that Death Slam is putting this on. I'm ready, Philly. You ready?
I am absolutely ready, and we're heading into the Cursed Apple now. At least I thought we were. We got the God told me.
You did the whole, you had your head up. You were like just pushing her over, giving yourself to the game.
Please, send me to the Cursed Apple. Teleport me now. There we go. We are in it here. Let's look at how the lanes are shaken up. I'm seeing the Page and the Wraith versus the Viscus and the Geist in lane number 1. What do you make of that?
Repeat that. I was looking at different things on the UI. What would you say?
Lane number 1 is where I wanted to start, but we're looking at lane number 2 from the camera perspective, so let's start with that. We've got the okay, we're switching it back.
We got it. We're on the same page. Okay, so
we're somewhere. We're in lane 3 now. Okay, we're in lane 3. We've got the Abrams and the Infernus. We've seen this before, but they're stacking up against the Ivy and the 7. Which way is it going to go?
I like that there's Viscus and Geist together, because Geist wants to try to get through the first couple of levels, get a couple of items available to her. Once she has about 1600, I feel really comfortable on Geist if I have at least 7% of my HP pool. And Viscus does a great job of putting on Fainted Aggression, right? Because he has his cube available to him, he has his puddle jump, and he's like, if you know his movement tech, he's kind of a nuisance in lane. So I kind of like putting those two together just to make sure that Geist can get to the mid game in a somewhat safe spot. Now, with that being said, we did see, of course, Wraith being against that lane as well. Wraith doesn't really want to force anything, right? Like, she'll throw a couple of cards out here and there, but she's wanting to farm up, and with Paige being there, it's going to be hard for them to find a kill. So I'm going to consider this lane to be a bit of a neutral lane as we move in towards the mid game.
Okay, makes sense to me. I mean, this is like the safe lane here for the Amber Hand side, right? You really want your carry to kind of just farm up, be safe, and the Page is just going to allow you to do that, get that extra burst fire, get the barriers, that kind of thing. The mid lane is my favorite lane, and this is where all of the damage gets dealt, the abilities are let loose. It's the Calvin Shiv lane, which, everybody loves or everybody hates. There could be a lot of damage, but this Yamato has been played every single time, just diving in, diving out, the time walls, the time bombs being layered over her as well. This is going to be a bloodbath in that one. And then lane number 1, once again, more of the same. It's going to be just some exchange of blows.
Yeah, I feel like the mid lane is really, really interesting because you're mentioning like all the abilities coming out, etc. You have a lot more room to struggle. Hang on, Seven's maybe getting stunned. I think he's maybe able to pop out. But if you find a pick in the middle lane, you have the ability there to really open up the map. You can take one of your laners and push them aside. You can go be aggressive on grabbing some of these buckets of buffs that are available around the map, statues and whatnot. So there is a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Burden. There's a burden of not dying in the middle lane. You really have to understand your matchup because you could really set up the other team to do well if you fail in, not dying.
For sure. If that middle guardian goes down too early or what have you, it can really be a detriment to your team. It can unlock a certain hero to start ganking on the side. So, you
lose your shop too.
Yeah,
suddenly you have to rotate aggressively. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's very important to win this lane, and right now Buffs in 10 are doing that. They are pushing their opposite numbers to the brink of death, and even more so. Great parry under the Guardian to push the pressure on even more of the Shiv. Got to back away.
Man, watching this game is really dangerous for me when I'm watching really good players play it, because like I see them moving in constantly and like parrying the Guardian, and now I want to do that. And I can just see a world where I'm gonna end my matches on accident. It's so impressive how they're able to move forward, get a quick parry, maybe go for a little bit of a trade, and then back out. It seems to be something that we should be doing way more often in our deadlock games. I'm definitely gonna take that habit and try to play it to my own matches.
And you'll get punished sometimes, and then you'll get the hang of it. You'll get the hang of it. It's all about growth when you're playing these MOBAs. No one's going to be the best when you first start, right? But this is where we have the Death Slam League, so you can continue to grow against some of the best in the business. Furnace now looking to start his business, get that bartending license back for him. He's putting the pressure on here. A few pop shots here and there. As we look at some of the items that are coming on, I'm seeing the Quicksilver reload for the Wraith here in the monster rounds. Anything out of the ordinary as we're taking a look across the map.
Yeah, that's such a wonderful ability to have for Wraith. With her putting a couple points into her one, she's able to get a couple of charges on it available as well. So you're able to just attack, pop out a card, keep your attacks going forward. And Wraith can be quite surprising, especially if she's on top with her cards in the early game. Like, I like her for scalability and her ultimate, but if she surprises you with a quick 1-2 punch, it'll be disruptive. Now, buffs are coming up in a couple of minutes. We have Abrams and a Furnace Grab on the far right, but a Kelvin pick coming off, and Yamato wanting to keep the pressure up as we see them going for a full dodge, using that shadow form and trying to see if they can get out of here. It's kind of a weird position. Nice movement so far, down 100 HP, and here comes the execution in from Shiv, and he's gonna love having those extra souls.
Ooh, and that was a good trade. You'll take the Calvin for the Yamato every day of the week. As long as your Guardian is still alive, it's about half health, though not too shabby, especially with how much pressure they've been under, but even more pressure is the Sheep. Has to return to the flock. A great cube there. Nice call out, friend, to keep the Geist alive, but those health bars dangerously low.
Still, love the plan there coming in from Wraith and Paige. This is a lane that I kind of assumed, and we talked about a little bit, would be a little bit more on the neutral side. They're starting to really win that poke, thanks to grabbing that Quicksilver reload that you were mentioning earlier. And then Paige makes sure to angle her ultimate to hit both targets. So whichever one was cubed, they would be able to turn around and focus the other. And in that instance, it was the Viscous. Got them down to about 15 HP, and now they can keep up their pressure here. And it's becoming a really, really hard lane for this far left to hold, and they might be able to grab this.
I think they will. I mean, you use the third ability on the Wraith of the combo with the defend and fight. You have so much fire rate. You can just burn that down. Narwhal gladly sacrificing themselves in trade of the Guardian. And that's a quick trip back to base. You can, go to the shop, reheal, whatever you want to do, and then get back to lane. So, I mean, perfect there in lane number one. That's exactly what you want for your carry.
Yeah, Paige is one of those characters, and these characters exist in most MOBAs, where, like, if I do my entire rotation of abilities and I die in exchange for an objective, I'm cool with that. Almost like you, the Atlas of the world. You hold up the world by dying, Sometimes you gotta hit to win. And it works out perfectly there. Wraith is able to escape thanks to her card ability, allowing for her to escape. Paige used all of her buttons. They got the Guardian, and they found a Viscous trade. That is totally worth it in their book, and they're up 2k farm because of it. And now, with the far left lane being opened up, there is a world where Paige can go, all right, after 8 minutes, the centers come up, we get those contested, I can start rotating and leave Wraith here to farm on her own. A great opening for this far left side of the map.
Massive, and the ultimate should probably be about ready at that time, so it will allow her to facilitate the rest of their team. Abrams over here keeping the Infernus at 5.2 souls so far. The other members of their lane, like, look at this 7, only a 4.8. Down basically a small item so far in this one. There's that rotation from the Page. She's moving forward, taking the brunt of that damage, and she's happy to do so.
Yep, able to use that barrier just to buy a little bit of time there, able to get a decent trade. Here comes up the sword to try and lock them down. Cube has been popped. Wraith looking to find a possible takedown, but can't really move in and do anything here. Does have the ultimate available, but with Geist able to skedaddle away, they're doing just fine. And you were mentioning that Infernus and Abrams lane on the far right. I've been kind of keeping an eye on it, and the reason why they're slightly ahead is they were able to grab that buff early from that right side of the map without anyone contesting it, and they're really pushing that forward. Speaking of pushing forward, Abram comes up, goes for a combo, goes down on 7. Can't follow up with a charge because he did use it earlier, but hey, you take the damage when you can take the damage, you know?
Ooh, yeah, every day of the week, that's a ton. And then a couple of revolver shots, but now he's dangerously low with no shoulder charge to help him escape. He's got to use all the movement tech, every stamina bar to get out, and he's able to do so. Whew.
Oh,
he creates the space there to get the Infernus to the center sacrifices, get his farm accelerated. Well done there from the Abrams.
yeah, he was like, you know what, I'm just going to use everything here, you get the center, and they pulled it off miraculously there, and of course, Abrams will be able to heal up over time. It's a solid trade for them as long as they don't lose that Guardian, and they've been winning the lane so much. That was a cool little maneuver from them. Middle lane continues to have a contest back and forth as Yamato and Paradox has managed to get that Guardian down at about half HP, but now with ultimates available, that 1-2 combo with Kelvin into a Frozen Fortress, into a Shiv ultimate, really can come online, so they're being really careful about that. 7 in trouble, trying to escape. Good movement, comes forward, gets a pumpkin as well, and is going to be able to escape with his HP. But now Ivy is left by herself. She's trying to hold on, but with her using her stone form, this Guardian may take some damage.
I mean, it feels like Buffs and 10, they're winning every lane. They're just pushing the tempo so far, just pushing Twin Omens under their towers. They don't have a moment to breathe, that everything seems to be a reaction. When are they going to put themselves in the driver's seat? When are they going to take the initiative in these fights? It just doesn't seem like they're able to do so with the amount of weight on their shoulders.
Yeah, I think they're probably trying to wait. Oh, hang on here. Combo comes out. Here's the Ice Cube. Try and keep him up. Steps up, draining life where she can. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that ult did not connect on Geist. Geist able to sidestep just barely there and survive. Had it connected, they may have been able to turn around and find the pickoff. But what I'm assuming from Twin Omen is they're probably waiting for Paige to rotate out of that far left lane and then decide where they want to make their call, right? They want to see the first move. Typically when you are not in the driver's seat in a MOBA, you do have to react sometimes, and if it's still a 2v2 all the way through and you haven't fully lost, it's okay to stay in your lanes, keep farming up, try to scale up, and wait for the opponent that's perceived by you to be ahead. Wait for them to make their move, and then make a counter adjustment for it. And I'm assuming that's what Twin Omen is doing. At least that's what I'm hoping they're doing, because obviously they want to win this match as much as we want to see a winner.
That is a really good point. And, you know, the Guardians, there's only been one gone down. There hasn't been, the souls are still even, so there's no reason to really press the issue, especially if you're waiting for this Wraith to really come online. You just, okay, we won the lane there, we've got the Guardian, but they're going to push into us because that's naturally where it's going to go, and we could just get our farm and keep rolling with it. But we are seeing finally the Infernus. Maybe they went too close to the sun, friend, and he got burnt to a crisp for it. He went back to base. They're able to get the Guardian in lane number 3. Once again, that teeter-totter, that seesaw, flipping either side.
And we finally saw that first move. Paradox rotating over from the middle lane, went straight over to the far left, and got a pick on Viscous, which means now the urn is up for grabs. And I'm wondering if Paige is going to grab it and start moving it. It's looking like she was hovering it for a second, but there is a call for potentially a fight in the middle lane. While we did see Paradox rotate out, Helvet and Shiv were fully in tune, turned around and got that Guardian damage. But here's a possible fight on the side of 7 and Infernus. Infernus' ult is not going to connect. Ivy trying to move forward with the chase. Some good movement from Infernus, but he has no one nearby that's trying to make it escape. Can he get out?
Oh, he's gonna get knocked down. Oh, brother, I wanted to see the new mechanic in effect, but the bullets will take his life instead. I mean, pushed a little too far forward was the Infernus when the Abrams had made the rotation. So, I mean, a little bit of a misstep there from the side of Banshee. Maybe screaming into their headset after that. But now the Guardians are starting to fall down here at the 12-minute mark. Only a few remaining. We got one in the middle for the Amber Hand and one on the right for the Sapphire Flame.
That's right. Urn turn in occurring for Viscous. Starts to rotate over. Already seeing Geist and Ivy getting in position for said turn in as well. Geist buying right now. Whenever you're trying to go for an objective turn in, it is always a good case in any MOBA that you play, but especially here on Deadlock, to buy right away so you're as powerful as you possibly can be. 4 people currently set up here on the far right. Kelvin rotating as well. Geist is the only one not here for Twin Omen. They certainly want this. Yamato and Paradox rotating in for the brawl, and we're going to see how this will unfold.
Okay, as we're getting ready to drop the urn, they're raiding each other. We just received a few raids, and we thank you for all the different members that are welcoming in here to the upper bracket final of Division 1 for the NA Death Slam League, and you are in for a heater. This is game number 3. Gar goes down on the Ivy. Now the Frozen Shelter to lock everybody in place. This is where it's really heating up instead of cooling down. There into the backline goes the amount of slashes and hacks away Ian. There's the Calvin no longer in this fight. The Guardian, that was the target, eliminated, but how much will they expend for it? The Puddle Punch to disposition some people. That allows the Shiv to go into the back alleyways. This is where he does the damage. This is where you don't want to meet the mobster, and he takes down a pair here as the Guardian falls.
Buffs10 was feeling incredibly confident, diving behind the Guardian here. And we do have a Shiv low on HP looking for a target that he can try and go for an execute on. He saw a Viscous trying to retreat on the top right. It's actually his teammates, so he probably doesn't want to execute him. But the full engage from Buffs10 actually allowed for Twin Omen to open up the map a little bit. They had a Geist pushing on the far left. They also had Shiv push in the middle lane, so you saw that Guardian get picked off. So although there was a pretty good exchange for Buffs10, they took out the Kelvin, was able to take out the Guardian as well. I would say Twin Omen got a better trade there. They got about 3 waves of experience, and they were able to rotate and clean up the rest of the people that were left over. And now we find ourselves in a situation where the mid game is incredibly close.
And that's what you said. You want to be at least, as long as you're not behind, either team will have it, right? Especially with the way Buffs10 is playing and their composition they have. They want to be okay going into this mid game, especially with the tempo that they've been pushing. This is a battle over the urn once more. How and where will it go? Who will score the touchdown in this one? It's the Abrams who is putting the hurting on, but the Calvin is the primary target. No Frozen Shelter here to keep the adventurer alive. He's the first one to go in this expedition. And now it's the Shiv who's next on the chopping block. We can see the comms from the players about where can they find him. The mobster, oh, so sneaky. They're looking for him. But can they eliminate him now? A few members have converged upon him, but he gets the turnaround. Sojo is the one eliminated. It is the Buffs10. They are feeling emboldened here. They're finding pick after pick.
Yeah, I like that you point out that Frozen Shelter wasn't available for that fight, and I think Buffs10 are really locking in and ensuring that they can get a full engage on Kelvin. Kelvin was the main focus there. Immediately when the fight was going to break out for that urn, they said everyone hop on top of the Kelvin. There was 3 people that literally ran through a Paradox wall to get through it and make sure to lock him down. They are fully in sync right now, and the comms seem to be electric. Paradox chasing down here, trying to get those headshots, looking for Kelvin, and another pick. Poor Kelvin in the last 5 minutes has been dead 3 times, and that's pretty crazy to say.
Yikes. Yeah, definitely stepped forward maybe a little too prematurely because the rest of the team was dead. But it's about, what is this win condition here for Twin Omens? They have to really pick their fights when they know the shelter is available, especially now they're down about 10k souls. They have to really pick these fights. There's Calvin. Thank you for showing the scoreboard there, Noodles. 0-4 so far in this one. I mean, he is the support after all. It's not like he needs to have all the farm in the world, but you still want him to be engaged in these fights. It's just where I'm looking at the soul disparity on the other side, friend. This Wraith at 16k, that is scary.
Yeah, this is something that Kelvin has to start thinking about what he wants to do going forward. Like 0-4 happens, man. We all have a hard time. If you're getting focused, you're going to get focused, right? And then, of course, your job is to set up Shiv and 7. But now we have to start considering, okay, do I stop buying things that help me assist my team and start building more defensive so I can get the better ultimate? And usually if that is occurring and you're setting the pace, Buffs10 is going to feel really, really good about that, especially being a, good 8 to 10k ahead, depending on where we are when it comes to the minions. So there will be an adjustment for Twin Omen. So this is where, again, I love to have comms, because I would love to listen in for Twin Omen and be like, how's the comms right now? If they're dead silent after a couple of these last couple fights not going well, this series is over. However, if they're communicating and formulating a plan for the next fight, like what I assume is going to occur, then we're going to be in a good spot. Because right now, in terms of map control, they look pretty good. They have all 3 lanes moving. They're able to grab their minions on the side of the map. They have a little bit more jungle to grab as they want to. they do feel like they're still in a prime position, but if I see them lose 1, maybe 2 more fights, I can see this game really just swinging in the way of Buffs and 10.
And it could be here right now as the Shiv is being got on. Look, the Arctic Beam is there to help him escape. They just have to play very carefully, like you mentioned. Their objective, we talked about this in the draft, is to really just push these walkers, push the lanes in, win the map outright, and that's when we'll be able to take the fights. Where the Buffs in 10, they want to be slinking through the shadows, and they're okay if they don't have map control, because that means that you're running at them, and that's when they will strike from these areas. So very interesting in terms of the stylistic differences between these teams. Definitely not out of it. I mean, they've closed the distance here, Twin Omen, only down about 6K.
Yeah, I like that you point that out, because right now, and we saw this in game number 1, they're running a 1-4-1, which means they have 1 person in lane and 4 going for a kill. Speaking of said kill, Paradox comes in, goes for a full combo, trying to lock down their opponent. They're getting low on HP. Kelvin down to 10 HP. Has to drop down his frozen shelter just to stay alive here. They're trying to find a target that could be in here, and oh my gosh, Abrams gets rotate. I'm going to assume that was a map bug.
Did he just go to the Baroness Hotel? Like, what was that, man? Wild, but what's even more wild about that, friend, is they expend the frozen shelter and they get turned on. They got 2 picks taken from them. That is a bad omen for their team. I mean, that is your win con, and if it's not getting it done, that's not good. A good soul exchange from the side of Lady Geist, but she is caught in the blender, the shoulder charge right into the wall. You're put in handcuffs here. The aristocrat, not long for this world, this swap exchanged as well to make sure she goes down. It's a 3-kill streak for Shad.
Yeah, that looks like it was the plan for Twin Omen, is they had 3 people in the middle lane defending against that 4-man rotation that was coming in. Another pick occurs here as the Furnace will be going down. And then they tried to put a lot of pressure on that Walker on the far left, but it just didn't pull out there, as Buffs and 10s are really winning on the rotation so far. But right now, Twin Omen has a number advantage. Yamato trying to come in here and try to find a reset, gets parried and gets picked off, and Twin Omen is now showing signs of life.
Woo! That's off of a massive storm cloud that was not on my radar, but it certainly was for Twin Omens. They turn it around and find 3 for themselves, even getting a couple ultimates out, right? The Shadow Transformation, the Seismic Impact, those have been expended. So, okay, they're going tick for tack, and this is a sign of good mental fortitude from their squad. Like you mentioned, if the comms are silent, bad. If they're still formulating a plan, great. So, okay, you lose some people. That happens. How are we going to respond to this adversity? And they did just that in a great turnaround there. This game is far from over.
Yes, good point there. And speaking of the Souls, have really started to clean up. Wraith, however, might be able to find a pick here, going straight in for the Viscous. There's a knockdown. But at the same time, Twin Omen is looking for a pick themselves. They start moving in and they find a Page who is locked into a corner. And finally, the frozen shelter may have found somebody. I don't know how Page is staying alive this long. Oh my gosh, incredible movement. Teammate comes in. That's an Infernus. Infernus trying to lock down anyone that is nearby to find a Page, and that somehow turned into a Page who is in distress, putting Twin Omen in distress as they lose 2.
And that's, once again, your win condition did not bring you a win. It brought you losses instead. This is, okay, so if you're the side of Twin Omens, maybe take a step back. Let's not look for picks right now. Maybe we need to find, our timing isn't here. We can't go toe-to-toe. We're not finding the picks, or we're not choosing the right target when we are going in with the frozen shelter. You would think it would be the Page, but maybe that wasn't the right spot of the map to go for it, right? That is also a thing you have to consider, especially with so much architecture here in the Cursed Apple. So, okay, Twin Omens, take a step back. You're still not that far behind. Let's find a good engage. That Urn, though, oof, that hurts.
Does hurt. I love how Buffs didn't ensure they were going to get it, though. They had Paradox dropping down her 3, just stepping up, trying to zone anyone out. That thing is loud, actually. The opposing team can hear it as well, so she stepped up into the enemy territory and let them know, hey, I have this thing primed and ready. And with a couple of people down, Twin Omen could not get death in any way, shape, or form. Now, with all that being said, there is positives here for Twin Omen. If you look over to Shiv, he is nice and farmed, 20k farm right now. And if you look over to the opposing side, the only one's ahead right now is Soju in that regard. And a Shiv that has a decent amount of farm is have that whole reset kill potential possibility, right? So they're going to be trying to build around that. And right behind him is 7 with 18k at the same time. So for me, I want to see a potential quick pick on a Page, or if they can find an isolation on Wraith. Harder to do than said, but it is something that would really work out for him.
Ren, somebody we haven't really talked about too much is the Ivy. Haven't really talked about her rotations on the map. Haven't really talked about her putting pressure on these walkers. Has kind of, I dare say, been a non-factor. And you know, chat, you might be saying, well, Philly, she's supposed to scale to the late game. Okay, but that doesn't mean she's not doing stuff throughout the entire portions of the game to get there. Right now at 18K, not where you want your Ivy to be. She needs to be at this 20-minute mark with the rest of these other carries, quote unquote, or at least I need to see these structures with a little bit more damage. Abrams, he's looking for this Ivy. He goes in for the shoulder charge. That one whiffs a good wall tech from the gargoyle. She's able to take to the skies. The seismic impact, does it go in or does it go out? He's choosing to go out. Maybe the gauge, not the right one.
Nice. Yeah, I would say Ivy's current position in this game is just like a reflection on how the match has gone, right?
Sure.
I feel like Bustin' Tennis took a really solid early game, so Ivy switched from this like, hey, I want to maybe help out on the side lanes, maybe rotate as needed to, okay, I am just going to help stop 3 to 4 man rotations from taking out our teammates. Our Kelvin is clearly being the focus for the opposing team, and she has done her best to be near him whenever she has thought there was going to be a threat towards him, which I really appreciate. So it's been definitely a bit of adjustment, but yeah, I would like to see a little bit more firepower on top of that Ivy. Speaking of firepower, Twin Omen's own Geist gets a taste of that as she goes down quickly.
Uh-oh, and this could be even more blood spilt within the streets of the Cursed Apple. Let's see how it pans out, folks, as we have our observer, Mr. Noodle, here helping us out, tracking all the action. It looks like the teams are going to high-five and back off for now. One pick is all they'll get. There's the Storm Cloud now. It's the carries going at it. Can they fight through the storm? No. Banshee zapped to a crisp.
Yeah, he realized Kelvin was behind him, so he's like, all right, I should just die here now, and maybe I'll get some damage on him, and who knows, maybe make him a quick outplay, but good rotation by Kelvin. So Twin Omen, able to get some damage on Furnace. Now, they are down 2 right now, and they're having to deal with the Yamato, who's kind of beating on their walker in the middle lane. So Twin Omen has made a decision, okay, we're down a couple of people. Let's go ahead and put side lane pressure and have our people that respawn deal with the mid lane instead.
I love the silence wave pickup here from the Yamato in the draft. We were talking about, is she gonna do it? Is it gonna be on somebody else? And you could see immediately when she dove into the Kelvin, silence wave, I'm grappling, I'm slashing, and he had to back all the way out. He didn't want any part of that. Here's a swap onto the Ivy. This is not a pick that they can afford here. The stone form in, but that is just gonna delay the inevitable. Maybe the reinforcements will come in time. The Ivy, no, the wings have been clipped.
Wing clip for remaining. Abrams down. Paradox trying to chase, coming forward with Kinetic Carbine. Gets a pop-up, but can't really chase. Shiv on the other side here. On the left was pinged. That was the main target, but with him disengaging, Buffs and 10 decide to retreat. So we are in a 5v5, but Buffs and 10 is starting to walk away with a nice, solid soul lead of 152k to 134. They have some waves to catch in the middle lane right now, which will help extend that lead a little bit here. But we're getting into a territory where if they find 1 pick, maybe 2, they can start looking at a mid-boss and make a big play.
Yeah, this is getting a little scary situation. The Wraith at 32k, my guy, at this point of the match.
Yeah.
I thank you, Noodles, for going on there. I mean, Capacitor, the Magnum, the Leech now they just picked up. This Wraith is going to be really tough to take down and really tough to 1v1. So it's like, okay, if I Frozen Shelter, do I just have to section off the Wraith and just keep myself in there and then try to have all the rest of the team find the damage elsewhere while she is preoccupied? But then you have the Infernus, who can really go for these 1v1s. That Afterburn just does so much damage. This is really tough here for the Twin Omens to try to figure out how they want to engage in these upcoming fights.
Abrams right now scouting out their opponents. Guys will see him. Kelvin taking some damage. Tries the ice path away. Getting chased down by Yamato. Ult gets popped up. Will he be able to grab the corner? Able to drop a grenade to get a little bit of healing here. But Infernus was left to death. He gets picked off. 7 also getting traded out as well for a 1-for-1. So Kelvin surviving there. Might be feeling pretty good. He might be on his way here with a potential igloo, but I don't know if he'll be able to get there in time to find another pick. But with 2 down for Buffs and 10, Infernus and Yamato, Twin Omen's got to be feeling great about that one.
Absolutely. They finally found the proper engage that they wanted to take, but it's tough when you have your composition that has to take perfect engagements in order to win. You want to build a composition that can go at any time, right? And so, but hey, if that's something to help close the deficit, you can get some map presence back. You can see Gato here trying to take down this walker. He might expend his life to do so, but I'll take that trade. That would be a good win here for the side of the Sapphire Flame. Good job there from Gato. He's kind of been the weaker link here. Has been picked off quite a bit. Expends the goo ball to try to get out. No, I think you should have just sacrificed yourself. Keep that ultimate.
Would have loved to see that. When all said and done, Twin Omen definitely going to be feeling a little bit on the back foot here. They have one walker, which are currently defending between Shiv and Geist in the far left, and to get that lane set up. But they also had the middle of the map open up for them. While we did see Infernus get picked off from earlier when Yamato was chasing down the Kelvin, Wraith was left to take whatever she wanted on the map, will actually push the middle of the map forward, which has allowed for them to set up for this mid-boss. One of the best ways to get here is to zip line from the middle of the map, but they can't do it if they don't have any walker or lane pressure, and so this will be a great trade out here for them as they get 3 rejuvenators. But here comes Twin Omens looking to try and poke somebody. I don't know if they're gonna be able to find anything though.
Yeah, an immediate silence wave on the Kelvin. No frozen shelter here to try to lock up the rejuve, and now the twin flames are being just completely extinguished in this one. Shiv finds himself in a 1v1, make that a 2v1. He's on the run, this gangster. This is not his town anymore. He is being run out of it. Firmly in control here is Buffs in 10.
Yeah, it looks like he realized that he's pretty much done for. He actually runs to their side of the map. Oh, actually able to get away. Didn't get stunned there. No way.
Wow.
Is he out?
Okay, yeah, he's out.
What a legend, dude. That was amazing.
Somebody clip it! Somebody clip it!
Able to escape, he ran to their side of the map, which means, I might be second myself. Oh, hang on, though. They're coming around from the other side, and they finally do pick him off. Never mind. Don't clip it! We never saw that!
All right, 4 members down here, friend, for Twin Omen, and I think that might be that. The Shrines are just delaying the inevitable. They're taking them down to unlock the Patron, and that is going to be the primary target. Only El Gato is here to tell the tale. That Patron just shattered easily. This Wraith burning through people at 41k souls. They don't even care about the death timers at this point. They have every ultimate in the book to get this one done. One desperation plea here as the cannonball gets launched out, but the anvil will lock him into place. That ability will miss. The captive read will not come through, but the storm cloud will, crisping every single person, but they persevere. Here are Buffs in 10. They want to go to the grand finals. They need to go to the grand finals, and everything rides on this. Elgato the first to fall. The Patron is shortly there after a desperate frozen shelter to lock everybody in place and maybe stall it out a little bit for the flames dashing through the dragon, burning everybody, but it doesn't matter. Buffs in 10, take it in 3.
Well played by them. I think really what's the temple there was the Wraith lane that did very well on the far left, able to find that early Guardian, which really put all of Temp on the back foot, right? Like, Twin Omen sadly just could not really get their mid-game rolling because of it. And after that happened, you saw Infernus from Banshee and Soju able to just kind of free farm the entire game. They took a massive lead on souls, and as long as you have solid rotations and you're trading out walkers, you start to really see them edge out a lead. And at some point, we saw them up almost 30k souls. That was just a great display of how you can take a lane phase and snowball it if you play properly around it. Like, nice job by them. That was sick.
Absolutely, and you can see by the chart here, folks, they've got the rainbow. They've got every single lead in every category.
Yeah.
It just shows that how well they've done, and we've kind of saw the writing on the wall after 3 and 4 engagements with the Frozen Shelter where they got turned on the Sapphire Flame. Kind of felt like, dang, they're just, the composition's just not coming to fruition. And look at where the kills are. There's not many. There's a lot of zeros on the board. I know that's the supports, but even they can get involved from time to time. So you just feel like, man, maybe this composition, they ran it in the first game, it had some success, but didn't get all the way. Maybe you got to mix it up. Maybe this, back to the drawing board here for the side of Twin Omens. But I'm sure we'll see them in the NA number 3 when we get that rolling after this at some point. Admins are probably pleased, like, Philly, don't talk about that. We're not ready. We're not ready. But we know at Death Slam, there's going to be tournaments, there's going to be leagues, there's going to be coaching, there's going to be fun to be had. Whew, my guy, what a series.
What a great match to see that, man. Just, I love the adjustments. I saw the focus on the Kelvin, making sure to, like, make his game plan not come to fruition. Just really a lock-in from Buffs in 10. And for my first competitive match that I've ever seen in Deadlock, I loved it. That was sick. Thank you to both the teams, Buffs in 10 and Twin Omen. That was amazing. Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah.
Absolutely. All right, my friends, well, we are going to keep it rolling. We have the lower bracket final ready for Division 2. I'll be on that cast along with Soren Markov. But before we get there, we got to head to a very short break. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few. to that when we go through
to cover the